one. And good evening, everybody. I am Jay Protostar, and I am joined once again by my friends Kiryu and Atman, and we are doing another Saturday podcast that still has no name. And tonight we're talking about the new Star Wars movies.
Welcome, everybody, to the Comedy Central roast of Ryan Johnson.
Oh, we are going to get to him. And, of course, because of my firm stance on these movies, I have properly brought exactly what I need to get through this discussion. Beer.
Yes.
Alcohol.
I don't need
yeah.
no
Every
beer.
conversation immediately better.
Oh, this is going to be good. Yeah. Finally drinking on stream. Huzzah.
Now you're acting like a 21-year-old.
Don't need.
Yep. Oh, actually, one thing before we get started, I found a store nearby that has that Godzilla PS4 game.
Oh, the really
Really?
shitty one?
Yeah, that's impossible to buy now because I took it off the PSN store.
Yeah. That game is terrible.
geez.
It's bullshit expensive. Have you ever played it?
I've played a little bit of
No,
it,
not
and
really.
I found it terrible.
Do you have it?
Nope.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, apparently a store in Citrus Heights has it, but they said they put it on hold because we had called earlier for another customer, because I work at GameStop, and they said, yeah, we have it. The customer didn't want it on hold, and then Alex called them back because he wanted to have it put on hold, and they said that someone was holding it. So what we're pretty sure is happening is one of them realized they had the game, and now they are holding it for themselves and then buying it. So I'm gonna call like first thing in the morning, and hopefully they decide not to buy it. But if they didn't, I know one of them fucking undercut me. I'm gonna go out there and kill him.
Oof.
Because I can get that game for like $35 with all my discounts instead of paying like 80. I'll shell it out 80 for it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Godzilla. That's gonna be another stream entirely. No, we're talking about
Gojira.
we're talking about Star Wars tonight, and we've got a pretty decent range of opinions.
The
Kiryu kind of enjoys Force Awakens, didn't like Last Jedi. Adman's kind of in the middle, and I hate both of them. So, let's get this shit started.
yeah.
So,
Well, you two just get drunk.
yeah, so I'm not going to get drunk. I'm having a
Yeah,
beer just to take the edge off a little bit.
I'm
But-
starting with 3. I don't know where I'm going.
Oh, Lord. All right.
The pain starts.
Oh, it's not the pain. We drink to forget the pain. So, I'm not planning on doing like a full plot run through, kind of like what we did with Endgame, because for 2 movies we're gonna be here longer than even we usually are. So,
Well, I mean, Endgame was a 3-hour movie.
and we went on a lot of tangents, and I'm expecting us to go on a lot of tangents here too. I mean, we went on a fucking tangent before we started.
Yeah.
So, yeah. One thing of note is I am going to try and avoid the SJW blaming as much as possible, but after I've had a drink, I can't guarantee that shit's not going to come up.
Oof.
So, turn your freaking ringer off. I don't want to hear Cyndaquil all night.
Listen, Cyndaquil is it's a gift to humanity.
Yes, I agree, but I don't want him interrupting my streams. My Cyndaquil my plush Cyndaquil sits in my bed, doesn't interrupt my streams.
That's because it's dumb. It doesn't know how to talk.
It doesn't make the sounds that your phone does.
Because my Cyndaquil's smart.
Yeah, well, mine protects me from monsters at night. Does yours do that?
Yes.
That's why I have mine in my bed for real. It's an actual thing. The rest are on the shelf, but Cyndaquil specifically is in my bed. Anyway, I'm a giant baby that's drinking beer. Let's move on to Star Wars. So when Force Awakens was coming out, who wasn't hyped for this movie when it was originally being released?
When Force Awakens came out, just people who never really cared about Star Wars, pretty much.
Yeah, it was the first movie I think I ever saw opening night. Because that was... Shit, when did that come out? Was it 2016? 2016?
Around there.
2015?
Fuck.
I don't remember. I know we were still in high school, but I don't remember what the date was when it came out.
No, because it came out in It didn't come out Christmas?
It came out December 12th. This right around the same time that Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker's coming out
Yeah, all of them are coming. All of them have come out like
in
near
December.
Christmas.
They were in December. They all were.
Mm-hmm.
2015. It was 2015.
Yeah.
So it was 4 years ago this December. So a little over 3 years. But yeah, I was insanely excited for this movie. We got like my mom was taking my younger brother and I to go see it, even though it was a school night because it was a Thursday. So it's like you still have to go to school in the morning, but you get to go see this. And oh boy, was that a waste of sleep time I could have spent sleeping.
Why?
Because I didn't like Force Awakens, especially acting out of the theater. Like, I don't hate it as much now as I did when I left the theater, but I was really fucking jaded when the movie was over. I don't know I think one everyone can agree on is this is just one big ass retread of the original trilogy, and it's like the first detriment this has. Just like what I've heard people say, like it was like to reestablish the series. Like you don't need to reestablish Star Wars. It's Star Wars. It's never gone away.
Mm-hmm.
We in the time between Episode 3 and this movie, Episode 7, we had we had the entirety of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. We had we had Star Wars the original animated series, Star Wars Clone Wars, around the time 3 came out.
Yeah.
There was tons of stuff, like Force Unleashed came out during that time. Basically, there was a lot of Star Wars shit that happened between the last good one and then Disney acquiring the rights and fucking everything over.
You can't wait. Hold a minute. Hold on. You're saying Revenge of the Sith was a good one?
Dude, Revenge of the Sith is my second favorite Star Wars movie. That movie is awesome. Like I don't hate the prequels. I will say that right now. I do not hate the prequels. I think they're still fine
Jar
movies.
Jar Binks.
And okay, I don't know why people I don't hate Jar Jar Binks. A lot of people do. I never really did. I thought he was kind of scary when I was a little kid, but to me he's inoffensive at worst. And I don't think Jar Jar is reason enough to hate an entire trilogy when he's really only in 2 of them. And in one of the movies, he's there for like a combined 10 minutes. So, yeah, no, I don't really hate any of the prequels. I mean, I think Revenge of the Sith is the only one I'd rate above any of the original trilogy, and that's purely because we get the climax of Anakin Skywalker's arc before he becomes Darth Vader. We get all the awesome fight scenes, some actually really good CGI, and even some good practical effects, just the duels and everything, because those were all real as far as the choreography and everything.
We also get to see something that many Star Wars fans had been dying to see, which was Yoda versus the Emperor.
Oh yeah, Yoda in general. Yeah, that was just a lot. There's a lot I love about Revenge of the Sith, and not much I don't like about it. And it's the best from an action set pieces and everything. It's easily got the best action in the series. I mean, it opens with a space battle that's so cool.
Yeah,
it draws you right into it. I love Episode 3, but no, I don't hate the prequels. I hate both the new ones, and I like to think it's not because I'm jaded based off nostalgia, because I'm not like some of these people that have been watching Star Wars since it premiered in the 70s. I mean, I kind of started when the prequels were still a thing. I didn't even get to watch Revenge of the Sith till I was 12, because when it came out, which was 2005, I was 7, and Mom and Dad went to go see it, and I was all excited because I was getting to see a new Star Wars, and they came home, and Mom just said, no.
Damn.
She's like, no, you can't go see it. And I was so upset because I wanted to see it so bad because I loved, all the Star Wars I had seen before. But yeah, because of, people's heads coming off, Anakin kind of murdering a bunch of children, and also burning to near death, she thought it wasn't quite appropriate for a 7-year-old. And let's be real, she was right, but I was still upset. But yeah, and I eventually got to see it, and I love watching that movie so much. And also came up with a really good PS2 game. So.
Which one?
Episode 3. It has the PS2 game that came out. It's got a really cool combat mode, but it's got the gameplay. It actually came out before the movie did, so you could see some Some
Oh
cutscenes
yeah.
were actually just straight up, the movie. So that was a good way to sell a game. But yeah, I got it for like $5 from a GameStop ages ago.
You
But
and GameStop now.
yeah, I'm not sponsored. I just work there, and I've been going there long before I ever worked there. So it's just truth. Um, okay, we keep getting off track to actually talking about this movie.
Yeah, we're going all off track on this one.
It's part of the fun of podcasting, just talk about whatever and see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this was one big retread for me, so I wasn't particularly happy. A lot of the new characters didn't really do much for me, and yeah, that's kind of like the long and the short of it. I wasn't a big fan of everything that was been going on. The whole the main plot hinges off of they're trying to find a map, and it turns out R2 had the whole map the entire time. They didn't really need that last piece. They could have just looked in that one small square and eventually found Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
They had a map
Yeah, that was
with pretty much just a giant space missing from it. It's like, how about we search there?
And the Empire too. There's we've pulled literally everything else from the Imperial archives, but they couldn't with all of their all of their ships. They couldn't look in that one small space. You could probably do that within a couple of years and find him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have all the resources that the First Order did. But let's get into my first big problem with this film. Since I'm the negative one, I'll just give the problems and we can kind of discuss them. But my first big problem is that it just drops you into it without telling you jack shit. You have the title crawl that says the First Order is rising and Leia's resistance is trying to stop them. But right out the gate, it's okay, so Disney completely killed the old canon, which we'll get to. We'll call that an in-betweener once we finish this movie. We'll talk about the canon bull ass.
Mm-hmm.
But so right off the bat, so my first question was okay, how is the First Order rising if we have the New Republic is a thing? Why? How are they gaining power at all? Because it's clear they've got this army and shit, but they don't do anything about it until they literally destroy 5 planets. And
yeah.
And you've got this resistance. It's just why is it the resistance? Why isn't it just part of the New Republic? Because if they're operating outside galactic law, then the New Republic's gonna come down on them too. So
yeah.
Why? And and there's all this supplementary material that explains these things. But we don't know, and it's not like the first Star Wars where that was kind of the point where it's dropping you into everything, and you're kind of figuring out as you go, because things are pretty clear, you start off and it's just okay, so the small ship's being chased by this big one. Darth Vader's clearly a bad guy. He's trying to chase down. He's part of the rebellion, so we get an idea, what's going on. But it's not like we were expected to read 3 or 4 books to know everything. But the problem is now you're making a movie in an already established universe where we kind of know how it works, and we also kind of have expectations based off the original expanded universe. But it's just okay, so New Republic's here, but they're not doing anything. Why is Leia part of a ragtag group again when they should have the full backing of the giant galactic government?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the first big thing. They don't tell you enough. And the other things, when they're talking about the Clone Wars, it didn't factor into what it was talking about. It was expanding the universe before they started filling in the gaps. While
Mm-hmm.
with this, it's they cut a bunch of gaps, so we didn't know what was going on. And it just expects us to roll with it.
They also took canon. They took canon that was established already and accepted through the movies, or not the movies, the comics,
comics,
the
video
books,
games,
video
you
games.
name it had canon.
They took all of that and just said, no, that's not canon. This is now canon.
Yeah, but again, I want to get into that later because there's a long-winded discussion to have about that by itself. Mm-hmm. But just as far as this goes, yeah. But that was a big issue for me. It was just there's all this shit happened in this big time skip, but none of it really makes sense to me. And then, and it's explained in the books. But again, that's like a really crucial thing to understand. Just like, why are they suddenly here and taking over? How do they have so much power? Does no one like watch, enemy militaries for a living? In this, like, that seems like part of the thing is watching for people that are trying to have an uprising, especially when these guys are clearly the new space Nazis.
Mm-hmm. Does like a security or surveillance agency not exist in the New Republic?
Yeah, and they never shit. I just lost my train of thought. Crap. I had something for a second.
Beer.
No, it's not the beer. I haven't gone through half this bottle yet. So the First Order, so they have all this power, but it's never explained where they come from. No, I'm grasping at straws. I'm trying to remember what my thought was. Damn it, I hate myself. Java, start talking so I can think.
All right. I mean, again with the how it just drops you into it. There's so many questions. If you're just watching the movie, if you hadn't paid attention to anything that was being released, if you're just watching the movie, you're like, how the hell did these guys get to the point that they're at right now?
It's like watching Avengers Endgame while seeing no other MCU movie.
Mm-hmm. And you're like, how did they manage to build a third Death Star bigger than the other two that came before it combined?
Yeah.
And not get caught yet? How do they have such a really good fleet?
Oh, here, okay, I remember what I was thinking. So, even there are so many problems with this, just this entrance that they could have fixed with a few throwaway lines. Just if they had Hux at some point say, of course, it's luckily we took advantage of the weak Republic's laws and built this Death Star in a perfectly legal fashion. They could have said, they could have pulled a prequel, just of course, our blockade is perfectly legal. And they could have written around that, but they didn't. Because they wanted to sell a bunch of books so everyone could figure out what the fuck was going on after they'd already seen the movie. And that's not good. Everything you see in A New Hope, you don't need extra information to understand what's going on. It all makes sense, and everything they added just kind of added more to the lore and the story, but it doesn't feel like knowing, even if you don't know any of that, it doesn't feel like things are missing in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Or kind of there's a lot of shit that details what goes on between episodes 5 and 6. Because there's the Yuzon Vong. No, not Yuzon Vong. That's way after. I meant shit.
Yuzon Vong. The movie takes place 23, 24
No.
years?
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about between episodes 5 and 6, not 6 and 7.
Oh.
So Empire and Return of the Jedi. I meant the Black Sun criminal organization. Is that what they're called? Black Sun? I think they're called Black Sun. With the green dude. There's they talk about that and the whole Bothan spy shit. Luke getting all his Jedi powers, but you're not missing anything. It makes sense that in the time between 5 and 6 they managed to find Han Solo. It makes sense that Luke's now a more powerful Jedi. It all just kind of, you can follow the logic there.
Yeah.
But here it's just there's no logic here. You've got this giant ass army with a huge, literally planet-sized battle station now that can destroy 5 planets in one shot. And somehow they built it without anyone in the Republic realizing or caring. And yet somehow Leia is fighting this battle basically by herself.
Yeah. Leia. Princess Leia, who was so instrumental to the
original rebellion.
Yeah. That, sure, later along the lines in the books and the comics and shit, we learned that she was technically the president of the New Republic, but she was kicked out because people then realized that, oh, she's the daughter of Darth Vader. Well,
yeah,
shit.
But yeah, see, that's new canon, and it pisses me off. It's why? Just this is that makes no this is a new canon problem, but that makes no sense. Oh, you're the daughter of Darth Vader. We're gonna oust you, but it's they act oh, you. It's you may have fought for literal years to bring down the Empire and eventually assisted in destroying, killing the Emperor, basically, by just blowing up the Death Star.
Uh-huh.
But, oh no, you were connected to Darth Vader, even though you literally, fought against him for all these years, fuck you, get out of my house.
Yeah. Get out of the house that you helped build.
That's oh my god. That's like if Benito Mussolini's son was like personally trying to usurp him to free his people, but no one knew, and then they find out, and they're like, okay, no, you get the hell out of here. No, not even Benito, because Vader wasn't even in charge. The Emperor was. So I don't know. Mussolini is like second in command or whatever. Fought against the son. Fought against. Okay, this is getting out of hand. But basically, you get my point. It doesn't make any sense. And it's not like there was ever any sign ever that she would turn against, that there was some kind of like power grab. Like, her whole planet got blown the fuck up. Who would do that just for the sake of like, getting like control of the universe? Especially because she didn't even know she was Darth Vader's daughter.
Yeah, she didn't find that out until like later, like the third episode.
No, yeah, they didn't. Episode 6, but yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, third. No, okay. When I say Star Wars by numbers, I do it based off prequel to like the original trilogy.
All right, then, yeah.
I don't base off of like release order, because that just leads to a bunch of ass backwards bullshit. So. Yeah, so that was one big thing. Like, she's not backed by anyone because she's Darth Vader's daughter, even though she's now fighting against basically the Empire again.
Yeah.
It's just a load of shit. I hate that.
Bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. So, so
fact that,
sorry, go ahead.
Like, none of the other, like, not even, like, the Mon Calamari.
The Mon Cal or anyone. No one
like,
takes her
like,
side.
only... Like, none of the members of, like, the Mon Cal race were like, hey, Akbar is in with this, like, new rebellion. Maybe we should help, too. No, let's just not. Let's just abandon the greatest commander this species has ever had.
Yeah. The greatest recognizer of traps of all time.
Yeah.
After he sprung them.
Because he's not gay.
Traps are gay. Anyway, so it starts off in not Tatooine, where like the First Order shows up, and if there's one thing I have to hand this movie, I didn't like him at first, but I actually do. With Last Jedi now, if there's one thing these movies have done right, I actually really like Kylo Ren's character. Now, at first I didn't like him because he was like a whiny brat, but now I'm kind of on his side.
Because you're also a whiny brat?
Don't make me come over to your house and kick you. No, it's... Well, see, at first I didn't like him because we didn't have as much, like, depth to his character. And if there's one thing Last Jedi did, it was add depth to his character. At least a bit. Right, because, like, the big question was, going into this movie was, who the hell is this guy? Like he has got the mask, he's got the badass lightsaber that I can't disagree that his design is really fucking cool, and the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of people getting their panties in a twist over the design. Like, you can't do that with a lightsaber because, like, why the fuck not? He just has 2 extra refractors on the side. That's not hard to do. I mean, the blade thing is kind of weird. And also the change can with lightsaber crystals is stupid, but the design itself is badass. And I like the look of the blade, even if I think it's kind of odd how they produced the effect. But
yeah, like, it's super, like, unstable, always...
It's cracked. Like, that's the point. It's cracked.
Yeah.
Which, that just seems like you're asking for trouble just for the sake of having a really cool-looking lightsaber. But whatever. I'm not going to question 2000's Green Day listening edgelord Kylo Ren. I mean, because he's got, like, he had, like, the force, like, time, like, not time stop, but, like, the force stop is what I'm going to call it. Because force freeze just sounds kind of dumb. But... because we got the part where it's just like a random camp, and then like everyone comes down, like all the Force Order people like come down to this surface because they're trying to find the map, like in another Star Wars movie. And it goes and then Poe gets it and puts it in a droid like another Star Wars movie, and sends its BB-8 off. And BB-8's also is an interesting design for a droid.
I like it.
I'm not against it. I'm just kind of, I'm kind of in the middle on it. I liked it when I first saw it, though.
I mean, he has more character than Rey.
Haha, zing. Yeah, we'll get to her. Don't worry about that.
Yep.
Yeah. So First Order shows up. They kind of start wrecking everything. We get to see Kylo Ren do that awesome thing where he stops the blaster and they take Poe. But then BB-8 has the map, of course. And then we have like Finn, who gets he gets like the blood somehow on his, like, where'd that blood come from? I don't. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. Actually, I don't think I've watched it since I saw it in theaters. But he gets like that blood print like on his helmet. But I never wondered where that came from before, because like blaster bolts don't cause bleeding any more than lightsabers do.
They
Outside of
cauterize.
that, outside of that one time in A New Hope, because George Lucas didn't know how lightsabers worked quite yet. But yeah, whatever. It's an aside. And then we get the whole, oh my god, maybe being a stormtrooper this whole time wasn't a good idea moment from Finn. And it just feels like a big no shit.
Yeah.
They talk about, I don't remember if they mentioned this in the movie or if I just like read this like, as part of the new canon. But like they're like kidnapped as children or brought in as children and like indoctrinated. But like, if that's the case, why the hell does Finn start having second thoughts after he sees one person die? Did they not have training where you had to like literally shoot someone? Because that sounds like something the First Order or the Empire would do.
Mm-hmm. Did I have like mental training where?
That was his first. He was a shiny. He was like it was like his first introduction to combat, and he suddenly gets cold feet after watching someone die. Like, did you even know that person? We don't know. That's just it. We don't know. Like, who was this trooper to Finn? Like, was it anyone important, or is it just seeing someone die and then all of a sudden he's like, I don't think I want to be here anymore? I don't get it. I don't like it. It's stupid.
Nope. No.
It's just a means to an end, but it has no impact on the audience whatsoever because we don't know what the hell's going on. And so it goes back to the ship, and then that's when kind of like Rey comes into the scene, and oh boy, Rey. Ooh, did they ever like butcher Luke's character before it was even Luke?
Yeah.
So once again, we have someone abandoned on a desert planet, that feels like she should have a higher purpose. Maybe not even, because she's just like sitting there counting the days like she's in prison. There's no like implication of anything. Like Binary Sunset, like when Luke is looking at the twin suns, is probably my favorite scene in any movie ever, because it has so much impact to it. Because we've had this conversation, like Luke was talking with Uncle and Aunt Beru. Like, we know his motivation. We know he just feels isolated, like he's destined for something more, and he just wants to get off the planet. And then he just has that gives that whole scene meaning, because we know what's going on in his head. We can tell, like, he's just thinking like he wants to get out of here. He wants to see the universe, and it's just this really, really powerful moment. But here, it's we don't know anything about her except that she's a scavenger. There's like no character. She's like struggling every day just to live. But there's like nothing to her at all. Even like by the end of the movie, there's still nothing to her.
Nothing.
No, there's nothing to her at all. And she ends up countering BB-8 and ends up fighting people off because they're trying to get BB-8 to sell him to get a shitload of food, basically.
Can we go? Now that you mentioned the encountering BB-8, can we take a moment to just go over the fact that this movie has endgame levels of luck, where all of this happened because a TIE fighter just so happened to crash in Jakku, where is the planet that she's from.
Well, it starts on Jakku. That's where they're on when the movie starts.
Like, it just so happened to crash right next to her, or near her, that she saw it.
Near enough, but yeah. Well,
Which
wasn't
like
it?
Endgame
It was
levels
the
of rat.
It was the X-wing, not the TIE fighter, right? Because BB-8
no,
took off in the X-wing and then landed there. Isn't that what happened?
No, it was the
Because Poe and Finn were in the TIE fighter. We haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh yeah,
Because BB-8 took off in the X-wing, I think. Or no, I think he like dropped out of the X-wing and left. Because didn't they blast it? I don't remember. I think BB-8 like just rolled away and managed to like find Rey. Because I don't think he took off in the X-wing.
Yeah,
because they like grounded it and he like dropped out of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. It's not important, but as far as the luck thing, that doesn't bother me because that's always been part of Star Wars. It's kind of like this ongoing idea that the Force kind of wills things to happen, or at least that's our excuse. Because the prequels have a lot of bullshit too, and I mean, when you think about it, New Hope starts because they just happen to catch up to them over Tatooine. Like if they come to up in like just dead space or any other planet, it wouldn't have happened, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
that's not a problem because there's always a shitload of coincidences that's always just attributed to the Force making things happen,
Yeah.
which is again our bullshit excuse, but it's one I'll cling to. So that's why I have to give if I give any Star Wars movies a pass for that, I have to give them all a pass for that. So I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So yeah, I as far as movies go, yeah, maybe, but a little bullshit. But I can't complain about it. So Finn like lets Poe loose because he decides like fuck the First Order. I almost called it the Empire. I wonder why. And we get like the scene where they're like still tethered, and Finn somehow didn't know that TIE fighters were tethered for refueling, or how to like undo it. Which, I mean, it makes sense he wouldn't know completely how to fly it because he's not a pilot. But it doesn't make sense that he doesn't know, like, basic protocol. I mean, he's a shiny, but that just means all the rules should be fresh in his head. But, yeah, then that kind of leads to my other problem with this movie, is it's too funny. Like, MCU levels of dropping jokes, except not nearly as well.
Yeah.
It just kind of bothers me because, like, the old Star Wars have funny moments, but they tend to feel a little more organic. Like when you have, like when Luke walks out and sees the Millennium Falcon for the first time and just goes, "What a piece of junk!" Like that's just kind of funny, in and of itself. Or Han like saying, "Oh, we're all fine here, thanks. How are you?"
Yeah.
It feels natural. Yeah, things feel a little more natural there, but here it sometimes feels like the comedy is a little more forced just to be funny, and it's way worse in Last Jedi, but it's present here too.
Yeah, the comedy is kind of stale, sort of.
I would say, I mean, no, it is funny because I was laughing, but the problem was eventually I thought I'm laughing a little too much at this. Like Star Wars isn't about the like Marvel, the MCU is very much like driving the action and the comedy together in a really good sense. Like look at Thor Ragnarok, that humor is like really really well done, but Star Wars has never really been about the humor so much. Like it has its moments, but they're here and there, not all over the damn place, and they're all over the damn place in this movie.
Yeah, too much of it.
Yeah, a little too much. There are a couple that I think were really really good. Like there's the scene where Kylo is, I think it's after this is skipping forward, but after like Rey escapes and Kylo finds out, and you just and it's the hallway, and you just see like the lights flashing and hear him like screaming and cutting shit up, and the stormtroopers just like stop mid step and turn around and walk. Like that was funny. Like that was good. That was perfect.
Also,
it was well set up.
When Han uses the bowcaster for the first time.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, you would think like he'd used it before, but yeah, that thing was pretty funny. It's just like, I like this thing.
I like this. Yeah, it's another, but that's just an example of they're pushing the humor when they didn't need to, because like, how in the hell have Han and Chewie been together for as long as they have, and he has never once had to use the bowcaster? That makes no sense.
Or just grabbed it and shot it. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds like something Han would do. So everyone ends up on Jakku. Poe's dead, but not really. Finn's like wandering through, takes Poe's jacket, and that's how we get the misunderstanding where Rey kind of like jumps him. And then they both decide to try and leave. That's when the First Order start flying down because they know Finn left with Poe. So. Oh yeah, and also Kylo Ren can do Force interrogation, which is pretty cool. Though that's something we'd seen in Clone Wars, but it's also neat seeing like a dark side use of it. Because before it was more like a forceful mind trick than anything else, but this is like actually like mind rape basically.
Yeah, like we only ever saw like Jedi or people from like the light side, I guess, use like the whole like either mind manipulation or anything to do with like mind control. That we've only ever seen them do it. We never saw anyone from like the dark side do it.
Yeah, the hardest we ever saw them go was in Star Wars: The Clone Wars when you had Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, and Anakin all force mind tricking Cad Bane at once to try and find out where the force sensitive babies were being taken. Like that was the closest we ever seen to someone like just straight up breaking the minds over using the force. So this was kind of cool seeing just like a dark side user that just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Just like one palm, I can read your mind now. It's pretty cool. So then we get the moment. This is another moment that I actually also like, where they're like running to the ship, and Finn says something like to pointing to a ship off frame, and it's just like, what about that one? She's like, that one's a hunk of junk, and then the one they're running to just gets blown up, and just says the hunk of junk will have to do, and it's the Millennium Falcon, and that was like a big audience cheer moment seeing the Falcon again. Though it's another thing of why is the Falcon here, and also why didn't the TIE fighters blow that up too?
Yeah.
Unless they just assumed
how does no one
work.
recognize the Millennium Falcon?
I know, it's the Millennium Falcon that made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, that helped in blowing up the first Death Star, that shot Vader in his fucking TIE fighter during the first battle at Yavin 4.
Like,
and
it's probably more famous in their universe than it is in ours.
Yeah, it also blew up the second Death Star. Like that should be a really, really well-known ship. And we also don't know like how Han lost it or anything. That's never really explained either, from my knowledge.
Yeah, well, I think they said that it's like it was stolen or something.
Maybe, but like, how the fuck does the Millennium Falcon get stolen from Han Solo? That doesn't that doesn't sound right.
I don't know. I think they make some bullshit excuse of why they lost it.
Yeah, but they end up on the ship and end up on some. I don't remember how they ended up on that. Like, so they're like going to Maz's place. No, they're just flying, and they ended up. Also, side note, Rey can just like pilot the Millennium Falcon, even though she's never flown it before. And a lot of problems I have with Rey, people are saying, are explained away. If you pay attention what she's doing on Jakku, it makes sense because she's driving a speeder. Yeah, speeder and a fucking starship are two completely different things, dipshit. You don't control. You know, that's like saying I can ride a bike so I can fly an airplane. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's so much more complicated, and also we don't really see her use a blaster up to this point either. She like has her stick. If she had a blaster on this planet, she would use it. You know, so like as far as like her being, you know, strong and everything, yeah, that makes sense. As far as her being able to use, you know, melee weapons to an extent also makes sense. But no, it doesn't make any sense she can fly a ship, because we've seen no evidence that she has ever flown a ship before. All we know is that she was flown in a ship to Jakku when she was left there, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't flying it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't like it.
Chase scene's pretty cool, though.
Nope.
Yeah,
especially
it's
when
not
they cut the engines off and they, like, flip it upside down.
Yeah, that was badass. I like that. It's just a matter of, like, how did any of them know how to do that? And then they end up, I don't remember how, but they end up on, like, that station or whatever with all the...
It's because Han. They explained like when they're like, there's like Han put a tracking device on the Falcon. I don't know why it took them that long to fucking find.
Maybe it had to be turned on for it to work. I don't know.
Maybe, and they're like, oh, we found the signal, so we intercepted you with a tractor beam. That's like,
right. And then like the pirates and the tentacle monster show up for really no reason. It doesn't add. It adds literally nothing to the story for these people to be here, except to see Finn almost get eaten. And yeah, it's whatever.
Almost get Japan.
Almost get Japan. Oh no, thank you. Yeah. So
if you look at some fan art,
like,
she did.
That whole sequence is completely pointless, and like I'm not even gonna bother talking about it because it's stupid. It's just there to make to like establish that Han Solo has not stopped Han Soloing, even though he's old now. Honestly, I'm almost surprised I'm kind of surprised Harrison Ford even came back to do this character. But, you know, he dies, so that's probably the only reason he agreed to it.
Yeah, that's probably why he signed up to do it. He's like, just kill me already.
I don't remember hearing... Yeah, I don't remember if this was true or not, but hearing something like he said he was only going to do the part if Han Solo died.
I'm pretty sure that's the only reason he's doing the new Indiana Jones, though. He also dies.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they're doing a new Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, there's been a new one of those in some time, huh?
Hmm.
I've only ever watched the first one of those. I've only ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. I need to watch the others.
Yeah.
Most of them are on Netflix.
Yeah, there was some weird fan made one a couple years ago with like Shia LaBeouf or some shit. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he
It was,
was
it was,
in
it was
Kingdom of the
pretty
Crystal
trash.
Skull.
Yeah, it was some weird fan made one. It was pretty shit.
Well, I mean, if it was starring just Shia LaBeouf, I mean,
The actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
it was all well and good until he started getting political and punching people in the face and getting arrested for it. So that whole sequence means nothing. So then they go to Maz's cantina because have to go to a cantina where a spy finds you and reports you to the big empire. I mean, First Order. Um, on
A spy from both sides.
on a forest planet. Yeah. So yeah. So
With
they
some
end up
weird
there.
band playing catchy tunes.
That's yeah. They can never measure up to the original. I can't remember the band's name, but the Biffs. I know that's the name of the species. So they go to Maz's cantina to try and find they're trying to find some answers or a way to find the resistance or something like that. I don't remember why, but they end up finding Anakin's lightsaber there, and then and then she's like, "How do you have this?" And she's like, "A story for another day." I'm like, "No, it's fucking not. This thing fell down.
That is J.J. Abrams at like.
This fell. This was in Luke Skywalker's hand when it was severed by Darth Vader. It fell down a fucking shaft in Bespin, or on Cloud City, which is over Bespin. How the fuck do you have it over a gas giant? How in the hell do you have this?" Like, the moment Luke stopped sliding that thing after he jumped off of the pillar, or the walkway thing they're on, he, got dropped out of a hatch and onto some damn upside-down weather vanes. Like, how the hell did this thing not fall to be doomed to, falling forever in a gas giant or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no. It's like, give me anything. Give me some small explanation so I don't have to read a fucking book to find out how you got this damn thing.
Yeah. Also, if it was found, I would assume it'd be in a war museum.
No, not even. It would be like, "Hey, Mr. Skywalker, we found your old lightsaber." Unless they didn't know what they had or something, but they should still know it's a lightsaber, and it's sitting in a box in the underground. What the fuck is wrong with you people? And she touches it and has visions that have never been expanded upon since. But
Force visions or something.
yeah, hopefully we're gonna see more of that in Rise of Skywalker, because I'm gonna give Rise of Skywalker a chance. I'm gonna give it a chance. I dump on this movie, but it's still better than Last Jedi, and honestly, it's not a terrible movie. I just think it's a bad Star Wars. So yeah, so
it's not a bad movie, but it's a bad Star Wars.
It's a bad Star Wars. The movie itself structurally isn't too bad, except for the few, plot holes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple moments of their logic gaps. But if it was any other sci-fi movie, I could probably forgive it. But because it's Star Wars and I have expectations of a Star Wars, that's where my problems kind of come from in a lot of places. And I stand by my my conviction that there is nothing wrong with having standards for a Star Wars movie, because people just oh, you had too high expectations, so of course the movie isn't as good as you were expecting. It's I was expecting a Star Wars. I was expecting at minimum the Phantom Menace, which is kind of my least favorite Star Wars movie. It's I was expecting at least Phantom Menace, and I was disappointed. I wasn't expecting Empire Strikes Back. I wasn't expecting another New Hope, even though I kind of got another New Hope. And I wasn't expecting Revenge of the Sith. But I was disappointed on all counts.
Yeah.
It's not like The Last Jedi, where The Last Jedi is just a terrible movie. This one's just a bad Star Wars. But moving on from there. So then the First Order shows up, and then, the Resistance shows up. And then Rey gets a blaster, and of course she's super good with it the moment she starts pulling the trigger. But she does get captured by Kylo Ren and carried off to the Star Destroyer. But while this is happening, so you got the Resistance coming down to fight, and then you got the First Order, and then you've got my second least favorite lightsaber related moment in this movie, which is where one, like, she just hands him a lightsaber. Like, Maz just hands Finn the lightsaber, and she's like, "You have a weapon." I'm like, "Yeah, but he can't fucking
He
use
doesn't.
it."
Yeah.
And
He
they've got
doesn't
him.
know
They've
how.
got him holding the lightsaber on the poster. He uses it like twice, and both times he sucks at it. And the other problem is that you've got a First Order shouting the classic traitor line, but he's fighting a lightsaber with a fucking riot baton. And
Yeah.
no one during the meetings when they were talking about this movie, just talking about scenes, were just like, "You think there's a problem with having a normal fucking ass riot baton taking on a lightsaber? Because personally, I'm not so sure how I feel about that." And then they shot him and threw his body out the window. It's like, wow, let's bring lightsabers down to a literal stick. Like,
A
whoa.
glowy stick.
Yeah, like, what's the point of having these? Like, the whole point of the lightsabers originally was to make it just like, oh, wow, used to be that literally everyone cool used to have these, and they're all over the place, but now they're cool because they're rare, and there's nothing else that can, like, go against a lightsaber. Like, there's nothing.
Like they can cut through anything, and the only thing that can stop a lightsaber
It can cut through
is
damn
another
near
lightsaber.
anything, yeah. And it, you know,
Yep.
some thicker stuff, it takes a little more time, as we saw with the blast doors in episode 1. But yeah,
Yep.
more or less, it can cut through whatever. But all of a sudden, they just bring in like something that is like just like passed out. It's clearly like mass produced because like you can't just have. It's a riot baton.
Mhm.
It's a riot stun baton. It's not even lethal.
Yeah.
It's like having a like or like a normal cop with like a police baton go up against like a medieval
The
knight
thicker
with like a claymore, and have the baton block the claymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Excuse me? How does
That
that
way you feel
work?
better.
Yeah. Yeah, it does not make a lot of sense. Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of that. Also, like I don't have so much problem with Finn using it in this one because he swings like a goddamn baseball bat like an idiot. And I mean, to be
Someone
fair,
who's never used it.
yeah, well, see that makes sense. That makes sense here. Like that, I'm okay with that. I just don't like that he's using it. Period. But like, and to be fair, like when you see Luke swinging the lightsaber around in Return of the Jedi, it's kind of like the same way where he's kind of doing like these really broad like strokes with it. But it was kind of like one, he's not fighting other lightsaber wielders. He was fighting pirates using blasters. So he's kind of fighting a lot of people at once rather than one opponent. So it's not like he needs to use like a more tight lightsaber style because he does when he's fighting Vader. It's a little more like refined. It's not as wide. But then also, it was like that was the main focus of the prequels, was showing more of like fully trained lightsaber combatants doing battle. And it's just because they could show it off more when they had more modern technology, and you know they kind of focused on it a little more because the combat wasn't as much a focus in the original trilogy as it was in the prequels. The prequels kind of focused on combat in general a lot more.
Well, that's because like also in the original trilogy, like the only like experienced lightsaber wielders are Obi-Wan, Vader, and Palpatine. That's it.
And Palpatine doesn't even use a lightsaber anymore.
Yeah, they're the only ones that like properly know how to use a lightsaber.
As far as the movies go, yeah.
Mhm. And in the prequels, there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's an entire core of them.
There's hundreds, literally hundreds.
Yeah.
And two more upon that. But yeah, that's why it makes sense. But yeah, as far as the broad strokes here, it just kind of like takes away what makes lightsabers cool when they can be countered by something that's just standard issue to riot police, basically. so they have that, but they managed to drive the First Order away because they're basically just trying to capture Rey. So they take so he takes them, and then they're taking them back to Starkiller Base. And I forget, was it at this moment that they activated it, or was it after they got to the base that they activated it? I don't remember. Because I feel like they were on the planet, like whatever Maz's Cantina's planet is, I don't remember the name. When they fired it, you kind of like saw it happening, but I don't
Yeah,
remember for sure.
I think I think it's after they capture Ray.
I know it's after they capture like I know it's after
Uh
the
huh.
Cantina fight stuff, but I don't remember if it was after they went like Han and Finn go to Starkiller Base or if it's before they leave.
Oh, it's before because they go to Yavin. I think
They don't go to
they go
Yavin.
to
They're just on that.
no.
The planet just looks exactly like Yavin.
Well, they go to like the resistance
There's
base
like a
pretty
resistance
much.
base, yeah, but I don't think
They,
it's in
they go to
Yavin. That'd
the
be too obvious.
they go to the resistance base, and that's where they like go over the plans of, oh yeah, this is Star Killer base. By the way,
Yeah.
5 planets are now gone.
Hmm.
Just on the side note.
Yeah, that's where they're like planning it, and then they're like sending the Falcon crew in ahead of time to get.
Hmm.
Did they go by themselves to get Ray, or they were like setting? No, they were like doing something. They're like
Yeah, it
disabling
was like
defenses or something.
yeah, it was like it was like the Falcon coming in first, going through the shield, and then landing like covert, and then an entire wing of the new X-wings come in and start attacking the base.
Yeah, because they're like trying to shut down like the anti-aircraft guns or whatever, or something like
Hmm.
that. I'm pretty sure that's what they're trying to do, not just rescue Ray, because they kind of like find her
Yeah,
while they're doing what they're doing. So
yeah,
yeah,
they're trying to like disable the anti-aircraft guns and also
yeah.
disable like the charging mechanism because they're
So they
planning
can't
to
fire it
fire it
again.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless you. Yeah. So we get that problem again. Well, we get my honestly my biggest complaint, which is this new trilogy as a whole. But when Finn or not Finn, when Kylo is like interrogating Rey to try and figure out whatever he was trying to figure out, I think what the map was. Um,
Hmm.
he gets kicked out of her brain by her having force abilities, and he like kind of like freaks out. He's trying to figure out what's going on, and then
Hmm.
he goes to Snoke, and then Snoke's like, "There's been an awakening" or some shit. And this is my biggest problem with this whole movie, hands down. So one, Phasma gets no screen time, and she looked like a really cool character, and then she got thrown into a trash compactor. Uh, but aside from that, she's like, "Oh, I have force powers. Let me use them now, even though I have never done so before. I didn't know they existed until like 5 minutes ago, and also I didn't even know this was a thing." And then she like in like 3 attempts, she mind tricks the guard to unlock her shit and take and leave the blaster. And
Hmm.
I admit that was some pretty good comedic timing. Just like, and your weapon, and my weapon. He just drops it as he's walking away. That was pretty funny. But yeah, just what the fuck? Like
Yeah,
she
how does
didn't
she know how to
like
do
she
that?
didn't even believe the Force was a thing until Han
Yeah.
confirmed it. Because we're like doing a
Yeah.
reset thing like the original trilogy did, except makes less sense. Because whatever. And so she didn't even believe in the Force. She finds out she has the Force by Kylo literally like saying something to that effect. And then all of a sudden, she's using it. She uses the mind trick, even though she probably didn't even know that was actually a thing she could do. And then we see her like climbing around on all this shit. And I'm pretty sure that that's not just that looked like she was using the Force to repel, not repel, but climb around on that, because she makes some
Hmm.
pretty big jumps here and there. And God, it just pisses me off. Like, that makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
Luke was being taught about the Force on the way there, so he like Obi-Wan had already been talking to him about the Force and everything. And so he like couldn't use it, but he managed to block a few blaster bolts when Obi-Wan was telling him to focus. But that's not the same thing as applying it to another being.
Hmm.
It was like he was using like that bit of extrasensory knowledge that the Force can give you. But that's the only time we see him use the Force until literally the end of the movie, where he uses it to line up the shot and send the proton torpedoes into the exhaust port. But that's like, and that's not like some big thing. But he was also the point where he could hear Ben talking to him as a Force ghost.
Yeah.
So he had like he knew about the Force, and then he had this whole bit where he was in the Death Star, and then when they got back, so he had like this time to kind of like think about it, not really to learn it, but to think about it. And then he had like a chance to apply it, and he did, because he was having he decided to have faith in the Force rather than his targeting computer. But here, like, she finds out the Force is real, and then she finds out she has it, and all of a sudden she can use it as well as Luke did in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Which
to the
makes
point where
no sense.
she's able to counteract the ability of a like adept Force user.
Yeah, like a seasoned Force user. Like, he was a Jedi, and now he's got all the dark side, a bunch of dark side powers too. But and somehow, like, she kicks him out without even thinking about it too. That's something I never even really thought about before. But that's also stupid. Yay! More reasons to hate Rey in general. And this movie. And so, and then we get the scene where Han confronts Kylo Ren. By now, they already had it revealed by Snoke that this is Ben Solo, who is Han and Leia's kid. And it's never really explained why those two aren't together anymore. It's like kind of hinted out that it has something to do with Ben Solo, but it's never really explained either, which is unfortunate. But then we get that, and I don't dislike Han's death scene. Like, it makes a lot of sense. It seems like it was kind of leading into it. And there's a really good moment where the light turns red from the Starkiller base charging up, and that's when he kills him. And I actually like the moment. It's actually pretty good. It's well done. It's well paced, and it's pretty good like twist. Because you're actually kind of wondering, is he actually just gonna listen to his father and turn back to the light side? Is this gonna be our main villain throughout this trilogy? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
because they could have turned it around right quick and then make Snoke the bad guy and the other Knights of Ren just like his posse or whatever.
And it's also what everybody's doing during that scene is what I guess like a realistic or an appropriate reaction, because Han Solo is happy. Like, he's happy because he just wanted to help Rey, or not Rey, Ben. He just wanted to help him, and if him dying helped him, all right, cool.
Yeah,
because he's still happy. Kylo Ren. I'm just gonna call him Kylo instead of Ben.
Yeah,
Kylo.
It's easier that way.
He does feel sorry. He does feel guilty.
Yeah.
So like you can notice that on him.
Especially when Chewbacca shoots him. I bet he didn't feel too good after that.
Yeah, and speaking about Chewbacca, he just goes like ballistic. Rage mode. Yeah, he just goes ballistic because he just saw his best friend die. So he's just like.
And I was like, wait a minute. He was like, wait a minute, this is the wrong order. I'm supposed to die first.
Yeah, he's just like, you know what? I'm done. All of you are going down, and he just starts shooting left and right. And then there's Rey and Finn. Is that his name?
Yeah, Finn.
Yeah.
FN 77 something or frickin' other, but we call him Finn. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they don't really know him, so they're like, "Oh no, he's dead." Damn. Which I mean, if like they don't know him, they really don't know him.
None of them know him. Yeah, they've known him for a day and a half. Maybe.
So they're like, "Oh no, he's dead." Well, shit.
Okay. Real quick, I'm gonna open my window. Go ahead and keep talking.
And so like their reactions are appropriate, and it's honestly like a pretty well filmed and well acted scene because of like the emotions of Kylo and of Han, like their dialogue and like how much they're saying just with their faces, and it's honestly a really, really good scene.
Also, can I say that Adam Driver, while a pretty good actor, does not have the face of a Sith Lord?
Yeah.
When that mask came off, I was all kinds of confused. I was like, wait, this is our guy? This is what? No way in hell.
Yeah, he does not look like a villain.
like Anakin, like always kind of looked. I mean, aside from when he was 9, but like always kind of looked like because we knew it was gonna happen to him. But he kind of had that look to him, like Hayden Christensen kind of had like whenever he was mad, you could see like kind of like the Sith could be in him. But Adam Driver does not look like a Sith at all. I was so thrown off.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't bother me so much now, but at first I was like, what? This is the dude. Dude, put the helmet back on. You look way cooler with it.
Yeah.
Take the stupid helmet
Take
off.
that ridiculous thing off. I was like, excuse me, Snoke. That is like the coolest thing he's got on him aside from his lightsaber. You've got a face that's practically broken in half. All right, you shut up.
You got a face that not even a mother could love.
Also, who wears a goddamn golden bathrobe? That just looks stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention you got cut in half.
Yeah. So. Wait. Oh yeah. So Kylo gets shot in like the sternum with the bowcaster, which doesn't have the same effect it had on literally everyone else that got shot with it earlier, where they get blown back like 20 feet.
Yeah.
I guess we can attribute that to him being like stronger than a stormtrooper, but still, lack of consistency. And then we've got the whole part where they're like going out to try and shit. What happened after? Oh yeah. So at that point, it's like the attack run's happening with Poe and everything, attacking the Starkiller base to blow it up. And then while that's happening, everyone's like trying to escape. And I don't remember why Rey and Finn were the only ones left, but like Kylo Ren catches up to them.
Wow. Yeah, because they're outside.
They're on outside on the giant fake snow planet.
Yeah, because Chewbacca's like he goes to retrieve the Falcon.
Yeah, he like goes to the Falcon.
He leaves first, and then they like go after Chewbacca, and then they're in the forest, and that's when
Kylo catches up to them. That's when we get like my number one most bullshit. Here's my Jay Protostar's most bullshit movie scene of the day, where Kylo catches up to them, and then so like Finn has Anakin's lightsaber. Yes, I'm gonna call it Anakin's lightsaber. That's whose it is. I refuse to refer it to any other name. And so like Rey gets caught in a force push and gets checked against a tree.
Yeah.
So she's like out of commission for a hot minute. So then like Finn like starts using the lightsaber and fights Kylo Ren, the former Jedi, who now uses Sith powers, who has had extensive lightsaber training. And he doesn't kill Finn in less than a second. Like, this is the dude that's swinging the fucking thing like a baseball bat. Not only does he have more skill, Kylo has more advantage because he's got the cross guard on his lightsaber. Like, this should be easy for, like, ridiculously easy. And people have said, I've heard, I'll get to that when I get to the second half of this scene. But he should have an easy time of this. You could say he's just, like, messing around with it, but like, no, he's pissed. He's not gonna mess around. Darth Vader never took it serious on Luke in Empire because he was testing him. He didn't want to kill him. That's why he just maimed him and cut his hand off to stop the fight, because he wanted Luke to join the dark side. He didn't want to actually kill him. But in here, he's just holding back. Like, he has to be holding back. But he's either holding back and it makes no sense, or he's actually not immediately winning this fight, which makes less sense.
I mean, he also just got shot.
Okay, I'm gonna get to that. But no, fuck it. Okay, we'll get to that right now. He got blasted, but he's a Sith. He draws power from pain, suffering, and anger.
Yeah.
Like, so when Sith get hurt and it's not lethal, it literally makes them stronger.
Yeah.
Like, look at Darth Maul. He got cut in half and stayed alive on pure anger until he got found and got his cybernetics.
Yeah.
Red demon guy is too angry to die.
Man, literally too angry to die. That is a Sith Lord in a nutshell. Dooku got caught off guard because Anakin gave into the dark side power, into his anger, and pushed against him, cut his hands off and then his head. That's a Sith thing. And he only took, like, one shot from that bowcaster? And he's a Sith Lord, so he can use the Force, so he can also like not only fortify himself with the Force, but Force healing is also a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So no matter what, he is incredibly like emotionally. He's in a huge like emotional upheaval right now because he literally just murdered his own father. So he's having all kinds of emotions right now for varying reasons. He got shot, and so he's in pain and he's angry. And now these two are trying to escape, and he's mad at them too. Because honestly, he probably partially blames them for bringing his dad there, and he has to kill him. So there's literally no excuse for Finn not to die. Like, at the moment this fight starts, it should be like, he swings the lightsaber, Kylo catches it with the crossguard, turns the blade, cuts Finn's head off. That should have been it. But no, they like go on, they trade a couple of like blade clashes, and then like Kylo like swipes Finn's back, but it nicks him. It like cuts the jacket, and that's it. Like, he didn't even get a good traction into it. Like, that should have been it. That should have been like, there's his spine. You can see his spine now, but no, it's Disney. They can't. They didn't want to kill off their character right off the bat.
Yeah, that should have been like some Doom level glory kill.
That should have been some serious shit. But no, it's just like a flesh wound that's enough to knock Finn out of the fight for Rey to get into it. And then we get the Rey into it bullshit where like Finn or Kylo's going to grab Anakin's lightsaber that was dropped in the snow. And then we see it like moving towards him, and then it flies past his head and into Rey's hand, which, while is a cool like sequence, makes no sense. It makes no sense. The first time like Luke used that ability, he had been like not really training in the Force, but he had been with it for like 2 years at that point. I think it was 2 years between 4 and 5, and he like uses it like just to pull it from a few feet away and cut himself down. From the ice cave where the Wampa had stashed him. But so not only does Rey like know how to use the Force to pull shit, she also beat Kylo Ren, an accomplished Force user. I feel like I'm a broken record at this point in pulling it. Like, there's no way in hell that she could have beat Kylo Ren to the draw on that. That should have been his from the word go. There's no way she could have Force pulled him, especially because he was closer too. That's a load of shit.
Yeah. This is like how she's had the Force for like 3 hours, or she's known about. She's known that she's had the Force for like 2 hours. He's been training with the Force for
probably since he was a kid.
Yeah. Since he was like maybe like 3 or 4.
And he's got the Skywalker bloodline, so he's strong. He's like probably has a higher midichlorian count than most other people too. Yeah. Just on that alone. And yes, I'll bring up midichlorians. They don't ruin the story at all. And if you think they do, stop whining about it. Not everyone could be a Jedi. Live with it. Anyway. So he has a natural advantage in the Force. Anyway, aside from the fact that he's just been training, Rey doesn't have that advantage.
How is she able to overpower him?
Like, just in terms of this Force, like, alone, just this whole Force thing, it makes no sense.
Now, like, in hand-to-hand, in, like, not hand-to-hand, but, like, blade combat, like, she, like, gets the upper hand a little bit, but, I mean, like, in terms of that, they're, like, not exactly, like, on equal footing, but they both have, experience with melee weapons.
Okay.
So like, that one's a bit more of like, all right, yeah, she could like, give him a fight, but like,
all right. I mean, here's your problem with that. One, again, she has never used a lightsaber before. She has been using, as far as we have seen, she has been using a staff, which is an incredibly different weapon from a sword in general, which, if you've ever held a staff and a sword at different points, you'll know how different they feel in terms of weight, balance, and how you can use it in a fight. And two, a lightsaber isn't even a sword. There's no weight after the hilt. It's just the hilt. So there's no, like, balance to it at all. And yet, she jumps straight into it and uses this weapon that is literally wholly unique to any other weapon in this universe that she has never used before, and beats, again, an accomplished user in the fight. Like, even if it did have weight, like, the staff is completely different. You can't fight with a sword like you can with a staff. It's a totally different style. And although she does
Yeah.
have physical strength, I mean, she's probably as, like, at least as strong as Finn. Because, you know, like, she's been growing up on her own, like, you know, scavenging and stuff while he's been in a military program. So you gotta figure they're somewhat equal in terms of physical strength, just off that alone. I'm not gonna make the man-woman argument. I'm just talking, like, purely based on that logic. They're
Yeah.
probably about equal. But, so, she goes straight in this fight, and then actually one-ups him and gets him in the face, and just nicks him. Again, it's just a scratch on the dude's face. And then, that's like the fight gets ended there. But, again, that's just another moment where the fight should not have gone on for any longer than a minute. Like, maybe she goes on longer than Finn just because she has the combat experience with melee weapons. Kind of. But there's no way in hell she should have been able to get past his guard, because he has fought. Because if he has fought other like Padawans, you know, at least, and he might have even, you know, dueled with Luke to varying degrees during training, so he knows full well how to fight against another lightsaber. Rey does not. So, knowing how to fight with a weapon and knowing how to fight against a weapon are two different things. Like, look at Indiana Jones. That guy didn't know how to fight against a gun, did he?
Yeah, because fucking twirling his sword around, it's just like, fuck you.
America!
Just bow.
Yeah, so that's just my most hated scene in this film, because it makes no sense from varying degrees. But yeah, and then after that, they get separated. Kylo gets evac'd, and so does Finn and Rey, though Finn's in, like, a coma. Unfortunately, Rey is not. And movie pretty much ends with, like, Starkiller Base exploding, and then R2 conveniently wakes up, like he sensed the movie was ending, and he needed to like, actually do something to earn his paycheck. And then... And then it's revealed that he has had the whole map except for the BB-8 thing, which we already talked about. And then it ends with Rey going to find Luke, and they, like, land on the Ahch-To, as we find out it's called in Last Jedi, and it just,
The
like,
what?
the island, or I don't know if it's the island or the planet, but Ahch-To is what it's called, and she, like, stretches out and, like, stretches out Anakin's lightsaber to him. And he has just, like, this kind of, like, really serious, almost knowing look in his eyes, and the movie ends. And I have to admit, the ending was pretty cool. Like, I liked that. It left the door open for what could be a really cool sequel. And then Last Jedi fucked it up. But,
They fucked up.
yeah, overall, Force Awakens, yeah, I'm not a fan of it, like, really, in any sense. There's too much wrong with it from a Star Wars standpoint. There are even a few problems with it from a movie standpoint, though, you know, overall, film's alright. But, what do you guys think?
Like I said, as a movie, Force Awakens, okay, good movie. As a movie. As a Star Wars movie, no. It's not good. But yeah.
Yeah. Adam?
Oh, well, I do see your opinion right there, and I do agree with you and all that, which I'll say that the scene with she just somehow knows the Force, which is kind of bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit, because you can't just find out and then automatically you know how to use it. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Like if you look at, like, any superhero movie, like, look at Spider-Man. It's just, like, let's look at, like, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Like, he gets the powers and he, like, slowly kind of figures out what they do, but he has, like, a whole day figuring out how they work. Like, you got, like, the part where his, like, webbing starts coming out and he can't control it when he's in, like, the lunchroom and everything. And it's like he doesn't know. It takes him a couple days to, like, figure out how they work, and he also, like, just knew he had them. It makes no sense. It really irks me, and it continues to irk me with Rey's character in The Last Jedi, or what little character she has. Yeah, let's talk about, like, how Rey has almost no, like, point to existing. Like, like she leaves Jakku just because she wants to. like it's never really she never like says anything about like wanting to do anything. She just wants to get off the planet.
Uh-huh.
But she has no like purpose. Like Luke had purpose. He wanted off the planet, but that's because he felt like he could do more. He wanted to like join the Imperial Flight Academy and like join the rebellion after he learned to fly from the bad guys or some shit. But it was clear that he wanted to fight the Empire, that he didn't like it. But because like the First Order isn't as established in this universe, she doesn't have much purpose for doing anything. Like the only reason she leaves Jakku is because like okay, they got BB-8, they need to find the Resistance because like they need to do it. But it's never really talked about if like she knows what the First Order like is really up to or what's going on. Like it's not really expanded upon from my recollection. And then she's like basically everything she does is just because she's kind of there and has nothing else she wants to do. And then she like wants to fight the First Order because of course she does. They're the bad guys. But there's like nothing going into it. And then she like gets all these powers and doesn't. She like knows how to use them way too quickly, and like never uses them. What like? Okay, no, she doesn't never use them, but she uses them. She uses them too much actually. But like for a real purpose, and like and it looked like in the ending like they're trying to give her a purpose. Like okay, now she's found Luke. Like this could be her thing. Like now she wants to continue on like the legacy of the Jedi, and that makes sense. That's like a really that's like a good thing to put her on because she like had next to nothing in this movie as far as character goes.
Have her get trained by Luke.
Yeah.
Like she wants to stop the First Order when the opportunity to stop the First Order is literally dropped in her lap. That is when she decides she wants to stop the First Order.
Yeah.
Like it's not like Luke where he's like been kind of like living under Imperial rule and he like hates the Empire. Like she's out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and it looks like the First Order never had a presence there until the movie starts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's nothing ramping up. She just kind of like goes through everything as it comes to her rather than like doing anything.
Yeah.
So there's a word for that for character, but I don't remember it. I think it's called reactionary. But
yeah,
where shit happened, like instead of doing the story kind of happens to her, and she just kind of gets pulled along with it. But Last Jedi was his chance to turn around, and they really fucking didn't. Anyway, before we go to Last Jedi, excuse me, like I said, I wanted to get into the talk about the new Disney canon, because going into Last Jedi, that was my first big irk. Just in general, was that Disney nixed the entirety of the Star Wars canon that had been built for like 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like almost 50. And they just decided to, it's like, nah, forget that. It's none of that's real anymore. Buy our new books. They're the real story now. So all this stuff like you thought you knew has now been upturned in like a variety of ways. So big thing, Force Unleashed is no longer canon, which is stupid because that was such a good plot to a game and like explaining how the rebellion came to be. It was so cool. So one, that's no longer canon. Pretty much anything else that we've ever read isn't canon. They changed how lightsaber crystals work, where before it was like they were mined, you know? Like they're kyber crystals. They're crystals you mine out, and there are different colors. And the reason why there were so many more than others is some were just more common. Like there's a shitload of blue kyber crystals. They're all over the place. They're easy to find. So most Jedi will have blue because that's just the one that's most readily available. And then like as the colors got more rare, you know, the higher the rank the Jedi, the more likely they are to get it. Like, you know, so like there's like blue and green are like the two main ones. But then, like, purple is hella rare, which is why, like, only Mace Windu has it, because he's the Grand Master of the Jedi Council.
Yeah, so...
And like, he's, like, the number one duelist. Yeah, and he's the number one duelist in the Jedi Council. So... Yeah, it's kind of complicated for the Grand Master, because Mace Windu is, like, the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, but Yoda is, like, the head of the Council.
Mm-hmm.
Which is confusing, but he's kind of like the best duelist in the entire, like, all the Jedi, pretty much.
Yeah, well, it's like I think it's Mace Windu's the best duelist, like in terms of like melee combat.
He created a new form.
Yeah.
So
But
He created the pod.
I think Yoda's the most experienced in the
Mm,
Force.
Oh yeah, because he's like hella old. He's like 800
Mhm.
years old, so that makes sense. So he definitely has like the most experience with the Force. But yeah, Mace Windu created a pod, which is like borderline dark side levels of power.
Hmm.
So yeah, so Mace Windu was really cool.
yeah.
So they changed that. So now like the color, like all the colors are oh yeah, and the red ones were synthetic. So they were made by the Sith, like handmade basically.
Yeah.
But they weren't naturally occurring. They were composed in like a lab or with the Force or whatever. But now it's like all kyber crystals are the same, but it's the user's attunement to the Force that determines the color, which is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. It's like, oh, so
Ye-
if you're strong in the Force, you get green. If you like to defend people, you get blue. I was like, what fucking sense does that make? If it's about
yeah.
Force, it was like strength with the Force. Why did like all the Jedi Council not have green? Why did Anakin not have green? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
can't
Like,
just
how
say
did some people
connection to
have
the
yellow?
Force. That's stupid.
Like
Ye-
some people also had yellow lightsabers.
Yeah,
Like
which were less
how do you get
common.
that?
I actually don't remember. I watched a video like a few months ago about how you get all the colors now,
Uh-huh.
and it's really dumb. Let me see. Star Wars, Kyber. I think I just
Because
saw
like
Kyber sucks.
in Force Awakens, like you could change the kyber crystal, and
Unleashed,
you'd
Force
change the color.
Unleashed.
Force Unleashed, yeah. Um, you can change the kyber crystal, so you can change the color
Uh,
of
But
the
that's not
lightsaber.
canon anymore.
Fuck you, it is.
Yeah, I know. Let me see. Hang on, I need to see. Lightsaber. Hang on. You may be looking for the canon kyber crystals. Oh, great! There's now a canon page for it. Thanks, Star Wars Wiki or Wikipedia. I could go away. Advertisement. Yeah, I'm looking for it. Yeah, and now red is you have to make it bleed. You gotta be evil enough to hurt a crystal and make it bleed for it to turn red. That's just really dumb. It's like, yeah, let's just further like categorize the Sith as the bad guys instead of, like somewhat like of a gray area. Because
Because
I mean,
there
yeah,
is a gray area.
Emperor Palpatine, yeah, he's evil, and plenty of Sith are bad guys and they do bad shit. But it, the whole point kind of was just like maybe what they're doing is better for the galaxy, like because the Jedi getting overthrown was a long time coming, and Palpatine just took
Hmm.
advantage of that. Like, yeah, he's an evil prick, but he just took advantage of it to make it happen.
Hmm.
Like, and because of what happened to when Anakin Skywalker became Vader, he just came to see the Jedi as evil. Like they were not doing the universe any good. In fact, they were harming it. So as
Hmm.
far as he was concerned, he was doing the right thing by killing a Jedi. Maybe he thought deep down, maybe it wasn't right, but that was kind of the point. But now it's totally different. Now you've got it's all this like clear cut bull ass. Let's see. Okay, why is it telling me game stuff? Can I just get like something where it says why is it so complicated? Not telling me anything. I can't find it, but yeah, I don't like that. It's really stupid. Like,
No, like,
oh, okay, here
a
it
li-
is. Reboot. Let
oh,
me see. Or no, it's not telling me anything. Oh no, this is just the canon. It's not telling me the freaking canon kyber crystals. I just clicked on canon. That's dumb. Let's see. Yeah, that explains why I couldn't find jack shit. Yeah, so kyber crystals inherently attuned to the light side of the force. So you have to like force dark side into it and make it bleed
that's stupid.
instead of it being synthetic. It's like that doesn't make any sense. Like the kyber crystals, they're rocks. Why are they attuned to one side of the force and the other?
Like even in fucking what's it like in Force Awakens, And in Rogue One, they talk about kyber mining. So like they mine the
Well, they
kyber
still
crystals.
mine the crystals. They're just not specific colors anymore.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's telling me the colors, but it's not telling me what they mean. And now this is just a bunch of footnotes. Okay. That's all the reference. Okay. Yeah, I'm not getting anything. It's just telling me what they are. You can use the force after which. Yeah, so like supposed to be colorless, and then they do all this other stuff. Water crystals, great power. Yeah, I can't find anything in here, but it's supposed to have something to do. I don't remember what all the colors do. I just remember like blue was like defensive, green was like attuned to the force or something.
That was just a dumb retcon.
Yeah, it was an incredibly stupid retcon. Yeah, it's not telling me jack shit. But yeah, there's videos you can look up if you really give a rat's ass. But it's really stupid. Among other things, the canon has changed, which I'm not a fan of. But anyway, that's all my canon griping. It was just a way for Disney to make the. I mean, I understand why they had to do it, because if they're gonna make new movies, they can't. They'd have to literally just make film versions of the expanded universe. But they clearly want to do their own thing, and also it kind of helps if you can say the old canon isn't real anymore and buy all our books to find out what actually happened now, which is just annoying. So yeah, that's the canon bullshit that we can't do anything about. But as far as I'm concerned, Disney canon isn't real. Legends canon is. And Rise of Skywalker is going to be a really fucking good movie to convince me otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So
like they're like the fact that it cut out so much history, or didn't cut it out but modified it so much, so much established lore, important events that were going on.
Yeah, like they didn't just kill like what happened after the end of episode 6. They literally killed everything.
Yeah, like
except Clone Wars and Rebels, but that show sucks.
Yeah, like the entire Thrawn campaign, Dark Empire, Operation Shadow Hand,
Yeah,
all those major,
Sorry.
all those like the resurrection of Palpatine, all of those actually, which might happen in
it might happen in Rise of Skywalker now.
Skywalker,
now they're just ripping
resurrection
from
of Palpatine. But like all of those important events just like shut down, and probably the single most important event in like pre or post Battle of Yavin, like Star Wars universe, the Yuzhan Vong.
Oh yeah.
The most important event post that just completely nope. Nope. The death of all your favorite characters are going to happen some other way instead of like distinguished in a distinguished battle for the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, did you want to see the Mandalorians, the New Republic, the Imperial Remnant, the bounty hunters, all the bandits and pirates band together to fight against a common enemy and invade Coruscant? No, you don't. No, you think you might,
That'd be
but you
stupid.
don't. Yeah.
We changed how lightsaber crystals work. We're clearly better at this.
Let's just completely rewrite how the Force works.
Yeah.
Dumb cunts.
Yeah. I couldn't put it better myself. Yeah. So that's much of the canon griping out of the way. This is basically just one big gripe fest. But anyway, now we move on to the real meat and potatoes of this already an hour and a half long stream. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Oh boy. Now, this one I did not see opening night because like I get burned so bad by Force Awakens, but I did eventually see it. And I have no clue why this is true, but when I left the theater I thought, hey, that was better than Force Awakens. And then I guess in the following weeks, like, I stopped being retarded and realized what was wrong with literally everything about it.
There is
Okay,
one good
retarded
scene
was too
in
strong a word, but stupid.
okay. No, there are two good There are two good parts in this entire movie. One of them is that shadow ghost fight between uh Kylo Ren and Luke, and the other part is the end when the movie ends when it's just a black screen. That's the second best part of the
Yep.
movie.
You're telling me you don't
Yep.
like flying frozen popsicle Leia?
No, no, because that means the death of Akbar.
Mm-hmm.
They kill Akbar off screen.
Yeah. All right, let's just take it from the top here. So,
Bunch of
like,
cunts.
so I was, so I was already not exactly hyped for this movie because of The Force Awakens, and like I said, when I went into this, for some reason, I left thinking the movie wasn't. Ooh, burping a lot. That beer's getting to me. That bad, but then I learned. I began to like learn better. I became to learn. I started realizing why it was bad, essentially. So from the word go, this movie literally throws out one actual good scene from Force Awakens when it just cuts to literally like the moment after Force Awakens ends. And Luke just like takes the lightsaber and throws it away. And I was just sitting there thinking, excuse me, what the fuck did you just do? What? What? What the fuck just happened? And he like walks away, and we get this whole tirade about how I'm not a Jedi anymore. The Jedi are dead. I killed them because I'm a terrible teacher, and I didn't act like myself at all. Kind of weird that I'm so mischaracterized throughout this whole damn movie.
Yeah.
No. Okay, first of all, the reason he's like on this planet, and the reason he's given up on being a Jedi or any Jedi ever existing again, is because he saw the possible dark side in Ben Solo, and thought for a second that he was going to kill him. And they like build this up like it's some big deal, like holy shit, Luke was actually gonna kill this dude. And then when he explains, just like, yeah, I turned my lightsaber on for like half a second, and then I realized it was a bad idea, and it was just at that moment that he woke up, and I didn't bother
Yeah.
trying to explain anything. Like, Luke would never do that. Luke would never, like, this is the person that talked down Darth Vader out of the dark side. Why,
Mm-hmm.
in God's name, would he consider murdering his own nephew because he sees a glimmer of the dark side in his future? That doesn't make sense!
Yeah. Well, why?
That's something Luke would never, ever do.
Yeah.
Ever! And they just play it like it's natural.
Especially since in episode 3, Luke, like,
Is born.
uh, no, in episode 6,
Episode 6.
Luke, during his fight against Palpatine and Darth Vader, he, almost very briefly turns to the dark side too.
Yeah, like when he's fighting
Like, he had dark side in him.
like when Vader threatens to try and turn Leia, that's when he loses it. And it's like this whole moment where he like realizes what he's done with the dark side. He just like drops his throws his lightsaber away and says he refuses to fight any further because he's seen what the dark side could do, and he has rejected it. And then Vader rejects it because of what Luke did to try and.
Yeah, so he knows that even someone as far into the dark side as Vader can be turned back. Why does he go into such a rash reaction against someone that maybe kinda ish, sorta, perhaps has it?
An attunement to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
So that already doesn't make any sense, and that was like a driving force for Kylo Ren's character. And even though I do like what this movie does to his character, it doesn't make any sense. Also, now that I think about it, this movie didn't open with that. It opened with the space battle, didn't it? Like when they're running away from the feet. See, I forgot because this movie is so stupid and forgettable. I don't even want to think about it. But they have those ridiculous bomber designs that even if they don't use gravity and the bombs are magnetic, who the fuck builds a bomber like that that's so exposed and slow it could never possibly get to its target? Like, literally, the whole bombing fleet dies.
Yeah.
And one bomber just barely gets the target and then still dies. Also, the whole discussion between Poe and Hux is just so, what's the word I'm looking for? Cringy. Oh god, I hate that. He's like
So
carries on this
bad.
conversation as like a distraction, but it just comes off all wrong. Like, just because like Poe's supposed to be the funny guy, and he's trying to like distract him from what's going on. One, that would not fucking work. That's a gigantic spaceship with thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people crewing it. And they have so many scanners that they could detect through hyperspace. There's no way in hell any like attack would go unnoticed just because the commander is talking to one dipshit.
Also, why aren't the resurgents firing?
Yeah, and they say like, well, it works, so that I guess it's okay. I'm like, no, it's even less okay that it did work, because it shouldn't have.
Like, 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 sure, like the only thing they fire are the Mandator's cannons, and it's like, all right, you fire that. Well, you have an entire fleet there. Fucking base Delta Zero, the motherfuckers.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, it takes them so long to actually start the battle, and they're still running. And then you've got like the whole movie plot, like based off of they don't have enough fuel to do a hyperspace jump, and they could track them anyway.
When
Hyperspace
has fuel ever
tracking,
been a thing?
fine. Like fuel, okay, fuel, okay. I can understand. Fuel's got to be a thing at some point. But the thing
I
that
guess.
doesn't make any sense is like the fighters are smaller and more agile. You are in space. You know what propels you in space? Force, not like the not like the midichlorian force, like laws of matter force
Yeah.
or laws of
What you could
motion
do,
force.
all you had to do was just turn on your engines enough that you are propelled in one direction, and then turn them off.
Like,
Nothing's going to stop you.
no, like, and see, well, that's like just an ongoing thing with Star Wars. But see, here's the thing: these ships should actually like be faster than the smaller ships because they have bigger engines and there's no force pushing against them. Like the size of the ship, you will not control your speed in space. It's how much you put into the thrusters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like there's wonky science fiction, science involved in
Yeah.
this. But still, the fact that they're smaller doesn't mean anything. In fact, it means they should have less fuel on board for their stuff anyway. And like fuel's
Yeah.
fine. It makes sense that you can't fly in a ship forever. Everything's got to have some kind of power source. They just don't bring up what exactly the new one. I guess it's just like regular ass fuel now.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that shit can't fly forever.
Like, I get it, gas prices are kind of high right now.
I mean, especially in California.
Yeah, like, come on.
Yeah, so just like
It's
any
a
other
Chevron
giant
when you need
space
it.
stations, it just Chevron.
It's just like an emergency Chevron in space, you know.
He's like you're
Gotta
just like
top off.
pulled over with your thumb out. Like, anyone got gas?
They all got gas money, looking like
Yeah,
like
gas.
scouting through the bridge, trying to find change to fucking pay for the gas money. Yeah, I'm just gonna need
Don't like
36
gas.
billion 36 billion gallons of fuel for my 3 kilometer long starship here.
I'm just imagining there's got to be like one race that's like has a stereotype for having money, and just imagining everyone just like, hey Akbar, you Mon Cal are usually loaded, right? I don't know why that just popped in my head. Probably because I was thinking about that episode of The Office where they all have like the races on their head. Just like, Shalom, I'd like to apply for a loan. when he was talking to the him that had the Jewish one in head. Anyway, I'm going on to explain The Office. Yeah, whatever. I can take or leave the fuel plot. It's more of like I don't like the fact that somehow smaller ships are faster, even though that doesn't make any sense. But whatever. Like for the sake of it being Star Wars, I can kind of forgive it. Just because it's never really been explained exactly how the ships work. They just kind of work, and you just kind of accept that. But I mean, let's remember that the Star Destroyer was keeping pace with the Tantive 4.
Yeah, which was a
a
blockade runner.
blockade runner. Yeah, it was literally keeping pace with a ship much smaller than, and the only reason it stopped is because they managed to damage it enough that they knocked out its engines.
Because they were firing.
Yeah, they're blasting it. So I don't know. I think it's dumb. I think it's really dumb. So that's kind of like, especially because that's the driving point of the plot. It's just like we need to figure out a way to stop them from finding us so we can leave before we run out of fuel. Oh God, and then we have all the Star Wars. I'm just gonna talk about what bothers me in kind of like groups here in terms of kind of how they happen in order, but not really. So so there's like that failed raid. Everyone comes back, and in the process, like we actually get another kind of good moment with Kylo where he like couldn't kill his mother, and so someone else just like randomly blasts the bridge, and then Leia suddenly has force powers and pulls herself back into, like force survived the vacuum of space has never been a thing. like Plo Koon can kind of do it because one, he has like his mask, and also his species can just do that. But Leia is a human, can't survive in space, but she does. Like, and it's not like she immediately pulls herself back in. Like, she's actually in space for a moment, and she opens her eyes, which should mean those are getting sucked out of her sockets. And she was like covered in ice too. And somehow not only is she not dead, but she pulls herself back into the ship, and yeah, she goes into a coma afterwards. But like, Leia never uses the Force. Like, she never has to, like she does in the Endor DLC for Force Unleashed 2. But like, she's never showed a propensity for using it aside from like sensing Luke, which makes sense because they're twins with the Force. But aside from that, it's like she never used the Force, and it wasn't even like hinted at in Force Awakens either. It's just done here for like no apparent reason other than to not have her die. Which I'm okay with them not killing her off, though I'm curious how she's gonna be in Episode 9. All things considered. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher, one of the first real strong female characters in the film. Of course, we had that talk last time about we were talking about Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An actual pioneer of like film representation for women.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Brie Larson.
Fuck you, Ray. Yeah. So that happens. Doesn't make any sense. And now Commander Holdo's in charge. Oh boy, does anyone like this character? No one does.
Nope.
I'm glad she died. I'm happy the way she died because it was a really fucking cool scene.
No, I wish she had died in a stupid way. Well, she did die in a stupid way. Scene was cool, but it was stupid. A lot of things are stupid.
Her hair is stupid.
Her hair is stupid. Her dress is stupid. Her entire idea is stupid. It's like, hey, here's a plan. How about we keep running like we are and not tell anyone what we're doing so they all have a chance to think we don't know what we're doing. And then what we're going to do, now just stay with me on this, is we're going to send out even smaller ships from our already small ships, go to a planet that's not only within scanning distance, but literally someone could look out a window at the ship and see where we're going. And then we'll hide there.
And then, like, quick, like, little... like interruption on the like her motives.
A quick aside, yeah.
It's mentioned that they knew that there was a mole in that ship. So in a way it makes sense for her not to, because like from a like commander logical standpoint, you might honestly consider Poe to be that mole because he just took your entire bomber fleet to their deaths.
Yeah, I've heard that, and that's kind of fair. But they didn't know for sure there was a mole. Like, they found out they were being tracked through light speed. Like, that wasn't someone telling them where they were. That's just, they were being tracked. So I don't get the mole shit, because that was never true.
Because, like, at that moment, like, what other way could it be? That there has to be someone in that ship.
Yeah, but they, like, find out, because that's what, like, Finn goes to do, is to, like, try and find a way to disable the lightspeed tracking.
Yeah, but it's, like, later.
Yeah, but
So
by
it's
that point they know, and at that point Holdo shouldn't have been like keeping it under wraps anymore because she because she would not like give any hint of an idea. She's like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. When like this is a character like one, I don't trust what you're doing. I don't fucking know you. You've never been a thing before now. And,
mhm.
and two, it literally ended with a armed coup on the ship. Like
Yeah,
there was a mutiny on the ship because you gave them nothing, literally nothing. And that was the extent of your oh so brilliant plan. It was also really stupid to start with,
like
and
that
that's what happened.
that scene where Poe is like like when he confronts her, he's like, "Tell us that there's something, that you have a plan, that there is hope. Tell us something."
And
No,
she doesn't.
leave.
Like
Like she
what the
borderline
fuck?
arrests, she almost borderline arrests him for trying to just like give us something.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not gonna push the SJW narrative for like the negative to this movie because that's one that's disconnected from this movie. That's not the movie's fault.
Hmm.
But two, like the some of it feels like it's reaching. Like the whole those things, like it was supposed to be like the woman knows what she's doing, but the man doesn't. He's just a hot-headed moron. But I don't know. I feel like that's kind of reaching a bit for
So if he had
the
the
women's
information,
empowerment.
he'd probably be more calm.
Like they all would. Like that's just the thing. Like it's not just Poe. Like literally enough people sided with Poe that they could overthrow Holdo.
Hmm.
Like that is a much bigger problem than just having one person being against you. It's like enough people that there was clearly the majority on the side here. So yeah, it's all kinds of dumb. And I don't know if that was the point of that character or not. Honestly, with Rian Johnson, maybe it was, but it was just like the plan wasn't even a good plan.
And it also isn't that she hated Poe, because like after the scene where Leia wakes up and she like stuns Poe, and they're like dragging Poe into like the escape shuttles, or the transport shuttles. Like she's like, I like him. Like I like his attitude.
That's
All
some
right,
load of shit.
then then why didn't you fucking act like it, you dumb cunt?
Yeah, so kinds of all kinds of stupid. Yeah, not good in the slightest. So there's all that bull ass. So and then while that's happening, we've got like the training where Luke's not being Luke at all. We get the great scene of him milking
Milking.
something and then drinking it immediately, and all like and we got the porgs, which were literally just there to sell toys. That's why I hate them. I wish Chewbacca had eaten all of them. And I wish we could have seen the character like there's like a concept art of the porgs messing around with Anakin's lightsaber after Luke throws it, and it literally ignites it and like bisects one of them.
Yeah,
I
I saw
wanted to
that.
see that happen, but no, it was a Disney movie.
And then there's the sight keepers, which are pretty much just slaves.
Yeah, they're like
They're
shark-looking things. It's weird.
slaves to the Jedi, literally.
Well, I don't know if they're slaves or more like caretakers. There's kind of a difference, like because
Hmm.
they can't. They're clearly not advanced enough to build spaceships. That just might be their home, and they kind of like upkeep things. Like
Hmm.
I don't know, but I don't know. I wouldn't call it slave labor because no one's there cracking a whip to keep them going. Like they're just doing it, so they clearly have nothing else to do with their lives.
It's not slavery because none of them are named Kunta Kinte.
What?
They said it's not slavery because none of them are named Kunta Kinte.
What's that mean?
You never seen Roots?
No,
Oh,
I don't know what that is.
you should watch it. It's actually pretty cool.
Is it a movie?
It's like a TV series.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I've never heard of it. Anyway, yeah, and so he's like, "No, I'm not gonna train you." And then like she goes to, like the force sensitive spot or whatever, and he kind of follows her, and it's like he went straight to the dark or something. It was like a bunch of like what felt like it was supposed to be symbolic, but I just wasn't getting any of it. It felt like it was trying to be symbolic for symbolism's sake, and it was falling on its face.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, there's a hole and there's darkness in it. That's like that's not symbolism. That's a no shit Sherlock kind of moment. I don't know. It's just dumb. And then we get like they keep getting the visions where she's like talking with Kylo, and we get that stupid "Could you put on a shirt or something?" line.
Oh yeah, with
I
the
was
fucking
like,
swole
okay.
Kylo
I
Ren.
was like, okay, Ray, you're like an adult. Let's like man up, all right? Okay, that's a poor choice of words. Like, like
Also,
there's like you're having force visions and you're concerned with the fact that he's not wearing a shirt. He's wearing pants. Who cares?
yeah. Also, like again with the Luke being afraid of Kylo turning to the dark side. Like during that part where he's talking to Rey about light and dark, he mentions that there has to be a balance. There can be enough. There can't be too much light, and there can't be too much darkness. So they have to be perfectly balanced. That's all things should be. Um, but like it's clear that he doesn't want any darksiders. Like he doesn't want any dark side force users. He only wants light side force users. Even though he says that there has to be a
Well, and
balance.
see, that's the big thing. That's like the biggest problem with this retcon, is that the real new Jedi Order when Luke was doing it, he said there's no good or evil. There's just the Force. It's how you use the powers. That's why when you're playing the video games and stuff, and other reading other material from post Episode 6 when he makes his new order, like
Hmm.
there are Jedi that use Force Lightning and Force Choke. Like that's there. It's like there's just a big middle ground now. It's purely on how you're using your powers, not on what they are. But because that's
Yeah.
not a thing in this new canon, like you get hypocritical Luke on top of everything else. Like that was his whole thing. Like that's what he understood is like when with his dabbling in the dark side in Episode 6 and also just learning from the mistakes of the Jedi. That's why he changed it. That's why it wasn't the same thing. That's why the new Jedi Order, you could have relationships. It's why you could use all the Force, and it was just up to you on whether you're going to use it for good or evil. And the Jedi were just supposed to use it for good.
Hmm.
Like that was a huge thing, and they throw it out the window, and we still get Luke talking about balance when he like literally almost murdered his own nephew because he saw a sliver of dark in him,
Yeah.
which again still doesn't make sense. And then we get like the part where he like sees the two like communing with the Force and he like freaks out, and then Rey gets the drop on like one of the most powerful Force users in the series with a stick, a literal stick. Also, she trains with the lightsaber swinging around like a bat and somehow gets more skilled with it for the Praetorian scene, which also doesn't make
Hmm.
any sense. Like, she did not get extensive lightsaber training. She still should be as skilled with that thing as when she first grabbed it on the Starkiller base, which also should have been nothing, but she somehow still has to go with it. And, oh God, it's just so dumb. And then she, like, confronts Luke, and I forget what happens after that, actually. Like, she confronts him, and then she, like, changes her outfit and then leaves, takes the lightsaber with her, even though that's technically Luke's property.
She just stole from him.
Yeah. So and then she's like going off to go to the ship to confront Kylo and try and turn him back to the light. And then while this is happening, we get the whole Finn and well, it's not while, it's like kind of parallel-ish. We get the whole Finn and Rose, right? That's her name. I forgot her name for a second because she's so unimportant in my mind. Uh, where they go after like a misunderstanding, they're going to try and find this new code breaker or whatever that could hack the First Order systems and disable the lightspeed tracker. So they go to the freaking casino planet or whatever. We
God.
get we get Rose trying to be a character but failing miserably.
I need to drink more for this scene. Hold up.
I kind of want to get another beer, but I'm already feeling like I'm starting to have to go to the bathroom. I don't have to put this on pause just to go to the bathroom. So,
All right.
so they go to the casino,
Let's
and this
continue.
whole casino is one big waste of time because like they don't even get the codebreaker they went there to get. They get some other dude who was in a jail cell that could have left at any time but didn't for some reason.
They get the fucking collector.
Yeah. And Rose has this whole thing about how much she hates like the casino because they're like children's slaves. I'm just thinking, hey Leia, why the hell are there still child slaves when we've got a new republic and this place is clearly not a backwater like Tatooine was with the original republic?
Hmm.
That sounds like that's a problem because Rose seems like she should be like young, like she should have been like born around the time the Empire fell. So
Hmm.
it seems like she should have been growing up under the New Republic, but apparently like she still had problems with like I don't know. I don't remember. It wasn't clear if she was a child slave or if she just like knew it was happening and hated it or what. But it was
I think that
stupid.
she was a child slave.
Yeah, it's never made clear. And then you got the whole stupid like horse rabbit things that they free and like run through the casino that amounts to
Yeah, because
nothing. They
let's let a multi-billion-dollar global entertainment conglomerate tell us how bad capitalism is. God damn
Woo!
it!
God, don't you love communism? That must be why this movie's poster was red.
It's never
Eh.
worked. It's never, ever, ever worked.
We can get into socialism another night. And communism at large. That's another topic that's going to be much more long-winded and probably a little more, I don't know, damning. No, not damning. I don't know. More people are going to be angry about it than this, I'm sure. uh, yeah, so we get all that stuff. They end up with some random dude who just happens to be in their cell, who also is a genius codebreaker, and that doesn't feel like a Force thing. That feels like a big fat coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't feel like something the Force guided that happened. Like everything that you could call a coincidence in Episode 1 feels like in some way that could have been the Force guiding things. Like when they find Anakin, like come on, that can't just be a coincidence.
When did he have the time to make a deal with the First Order to give them over?
Yeah, I mean, I can only assume like he contacted them, like are they on the way there or something. But even that just makes sense because they still shut down the tracker. Like,
Also, how does he know that
think.
they're? Oh no, actually, no. They probably talked about that, but
Actually, I don't remember if they actually shut it down or if they got caught before it got shut down. I don't remember, but I think it was. I think they got caught before they shut it down. I don't remember.
I don't know, man. It's dumb.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here to do. Rip into this stupid movie. The movie's a new one. But yeah. So they like get onto the ship around the same time Rey does, and she like stealths into it somehow, and like she like finds Kylo and they just let her in. But I want to cover the other part first, where like they get caught, and they're like about to get straight up executed, and unfortunately it gets interrupted because BB-8 takes over a First Order ATST, which for some reason has a BB-8 plug-in. The fuck?
No. They get interrupted because the ship gets hit by a different ship going at light speed. Which
No. BB-8 operates an ATST. Like that's what breaks it up because they're off the ship before that happens.
No, that's what stops it. Because that's when the ship starts falling apart, and that's when they get into the fight with Captain Phasma.
Oh, okay, that sounds right. But
Yeah,
no, BB-8 definitely used an ATST at some point, though.
Yeah, that's after the crash. But like, that ship should be gone.
Yeah.
It got hit.
Okay, but before we get to that, because I have to get into that bullshit too, we get the scene where Rey is led into the throne room. We got the Praetorian guards and Snoke, and oh yeah, and Kylo smashed his helmet earlier in the movie, which made me mad because I thought it was really cool. But it looks like they're bringing it back for Rise of Skywalker. Because J.J. Abrams realizes that Rian Johnson is a goddamn idiot, and he's gonna try and fix things. He is running damage control basically at this point.
He's the first term of Obama.
God, can we talk about? Shut up. Can we talk about how Rian Johnson's just a complete moron for a minute? Just
you don't like my movie? You're a Nazi.
His decisions in cast. No, not even that. I mean his decisions in casting for characters. How he had certain characters written, how he said, like, oh, if you looked at the if Empire Strikes Back came out today, it would have gotten roasted online. I'd be like, no, it fucking wouldn't have, you stupid prick. The only thing it would have gotten roasted on is its effects because it came out in 2016 or 17. Yeah, if it came out in 2017 looking like that, of course it would. It looked perfect for the time, and honestly, it still doesn't look that bad. But no, that movie is good. Like, it's really good. Like, not just as a Star Wars, just as a film. There's a reason it's most people's favorite film in the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a really solid movie. And when that movie came out, everyone loved it. Like, the critics all
Yeah.
thought it was good. The general public all thought it was good. Like, there was no one there that left that movie questioning if they were going to go see the next Star Wars movie. You know, just, the guy's a moron who can't accept that he made a shitty movie and that it's bad.
Shit.
Yeah.
He's like Michael Bay, but with less explosions.
Hey, no, no, I love the Transformers movies, at least the first three, and that is a hill I will die on.
You cannot tell me that Last Night is a good movie.
No,
I
first
will
three,
not believe
I
it.
have not seen Last Night, and I have not seen Age of Extinction yet, even though I have them sitting on my shelf because I have all of them on Blu-ray. I got it in a collection for like $30 from Best Buy.
More like fucking Rage of Extinction because of how stupid it is.
Yeah, I'll get to them eventually. I like the original trilogy. That's an aside for another day. So anyway, we get the Praetorian, like the whole Praetorian sequence. Well, but before that, we have like where Snoke's talking to Rey, trying to turn her to the dark side or whatever, and she like tries to use the lightsaber, and it like slings around and hits her in the back of the head, which was funny because it was Rey getting hit in the head with something, but at the same time, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So Snoke just like has a lightsaber, and then he has like this whole moment where he's like looking into Kylo's mind to see what's happening instead of looking, because if he had been paying attention, he might have noticed that the lightsaber was turning to his torso. And he gets cut in half. And a lot of people complain about, or a lot of people say that complaining about Snoke isn't valid because, like, we didn't see much of the Emperor before he died, but like the Emperor was clearly a valid threat. Like, he was a presence. Like, he was this big, imposing presence because Darth Vader, we'd already seen what Darth Vader could do. And this was the guy that was his master. So, one, you already have expectations. Like, this dude has got to be wicked evil and also incredibly powerful. And then we see him, he's referenced in 4. We see him in Empire Strikes Back, where he's like talking to Vader, talking about what they could turn Luke, that he'd be a great asset. And then we actually see what he can do in, well, to an extent, as far as like force powers and stuff in Episode 6. So like he was a presence throughout the original trilogy, and we kind of see more of him in the prequels. But Snoke, we get almost nothing. All we know is that he's in charge of the First Order. We don't even know if he, like, how much of the Force he can use, because we never see him do anything. We don't know who he is, where he came from, or what his deal is at all.
He's Jar Jar.
That's a lot of plastic surgery. You know,
Voice therapy too.
That's just it. Like, we know what the Emperor's deal is. Like, he's in control of the galaxy and he rules it by fear, because that's like the whole thing of the Empire. But like, the question never was just like, why did the Emperor do it? Like with here, the question is like, who the hell is Snoke, and why is he doing any of this? Like, what's his motivation for bringing back the Empire?
He's an Empire fanboy.
Well, no, see, Kylo Ren is the Empire fanboy, but we don't know about Snoke. He just gets offed. And, you know, that's another thing where, like, we'll read the books if you want to know, but I'm fine with reading books if I want more context, but I shouldn't need to read the books to get context that's, like, more necessary to the film. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter that much, but it's just irksome. And then we get the Praetorian scene, which was so fucking cool the first time I saw it. And then I watched it in, you know, like, just that scene. And, oh my god, dude, the choreography on that scene is god-awful. There's so much, like, you don't notice it when it's moving really fast and the first time you see it, because you're just kind of taking it in. But when you watch it again, and you've seen it already, and you're, like, watching their movements, it's so bad. Like, there's so many times when Kylo's lightsaber, like, goes across the ground. Like, he's not keeping it off the ground. He's getting pushed back from the bottom, like, from the floor, because he's, like, slashing against it as he's flying around. You've got one point, Rey kicks one of the guards, and 3 of them fly back. You've got the disappearing axe, where he, like, grabs Rey with his arm, and then like the other one's just conveniently gone because like they realized in post like, oh shit, he's gonna kill her with that. We need to make sure he can't do that.
Yeah.
You've got the part where the dude like keeps hitting, like there's another guy keeps hitting the ground. There's one point where there's a dude's like standing back waiting for his turn to come up and fight. Like he's like waiting. There's a dude that like straight up drops his spear before he gets stabbed and dies. He like throws his weapon to the side and then Kylo stabs him. You've got a guy like just like kind of like doing like flips and shit, like moving towards them but not doing anything really. Like slinging a weapon around, but it's not doing any good. And then there's the part when she's being held where she like drops the lightsaber and catches it and like slices his throat instead of cutting his head off. And then, but the way that arm was being held, like when she dropped it, it should have like yanked the blade towards her and then impaled her. Unfortunately, this does not happen. Yeah, so that it was cool the first time when you're just seeing it all happen, but when you like actually look at it, it's really really bad. Especially when you look at how great the choreography is for all the prequels. Like especially if you watch like not just the film, but if you watch the training for that, it's insane.
Like they had to train how to use like swords, like act like blades.
Yeah. And you look at. Like this is Disney. They put so much money in this movie, and they couldn't even quality control their fucking battle choreography. What is with that? So that happens. Just, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just it's just that. It's just like.
Yeah, because you and I were both like freaking out about this scene when this film came out. We were talking about how freaking sweet it was.
Yeah, because in first viewing, when you watch that scene, it's just it looks awesome.
It does.
It's just fighting going on, and it looks awesome. And there's so many cool scenes of like Kylo and Rey working together.
Yeah, because it's like this. There's like one big like it starts on one long shot, and then it starts cutting. And I love long shots in action sequences because it feels so much more real. When you're not switching between angles like 36 times every time someone throws a punch or something.
Like the MCU?
Yeah, like the MCU.
And like, there was like so many cool shots in that fight scene. And like, there's that like part at near the end where Rey throws the lightsaber to Kylo and he like turns it on and off and just like impales.
Yeah, I mean that is legitimately cool. That is legitimately cool because there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot that there is wrong with. Yeah.
And it just looked cool. And then you rewatch and you're like, oh.
And there's also the fact that Rey should have stood no chance against these Praetorian guards because they had an even stricter trainings than like the red-robed Imperial guards. And those dudes like had to straight up murder each other, freaking like Dathomir style, to like progress. And, yeah. Like, and that was the Imperial Guards, like the original Imperial Guards. So Praetorians were like just as bad, and they had all these kick-ass weapons. Like the original ones just had force spikes. These guys had like a variety of weapons. So again, talked about earlier where Rey had no experience fighting against a sword. She still should be no more skilled with a lightsaber than when she first got it, because she spent her time swinging it at a rock, and then she's fighting all these dudes with highly skilled, highly trained for combat dudes with a variety of weaponry, and is somehow managing 3 to 4 of them at a time. Like Kylo, yeah, he could probably take them all. I don't have a problem with that.
He's a member of the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, but Rey, Well, and the Knights of Ren is another thing they just like fucking made up.
Yeah.
It's like totally new. It's like we don't even know what that means yet. They haven't really defined that. It looks like we might get a definition in Rise of Skywalker, but I'm not holding my breath.
All we know, it's like they're a badass group of like Sith.
Well, not even Sith technically. It's just like dark side users or something.
Yeah.
Because like as far as we know, Snoke's not a Sith. Kylo Ren's not a Sith. So we don't know. I'm hoping we get some more insight on that. Or maybe there has been, and it's more reading that I have refused to do because I've got my canon already, thank you. I don't think the new canon has zombies in it, does it? I don't think it does.
Yeah.
Their
Fucking
Death
the
Troopers are well, okay. Their Death Troopers look pretty cool, but they're not as badass as just literal zombies.
hmm the what's it called, black
Black
black.
Lotus
No,
or
it's a
Orchid.
virus.
Oh well,
It's a virus that turns people into zombies in the Star Wars universe.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
called
yeah.
Black something.
I think it's like Black Orchid or Black Rose. It's Black something or other. But there's like the novel that takes place like between episodes 3 and 4, and then there's the novel that takes place like Old Republic, which is where it like comes from. They talk about where it comes from.
hmm
But yeah. Anyway, they don't have that. God, that book was good. Anyway, um, yeah, they don't have that. So then after that whole sequence, um, we get this moment where it's just like, okay, who's gonna turn to what side? Because I actually wanted to see what would happen if Rey joined Kylo in like destroying the past. Because I'm actually kind of down. Like that's a good. Like
hmm
yes, you finally gave Kylo a real motivation here because he had no motivation to be evil in the last movie. He just was. But now we have a motivation, even though it's stupid. Like not the motivation isn't stupid, but why it happens is stupid.
hmm
And now you have a goal. He wants to like get rid of everything. The Jedi, the Sith. He wants to remake the galaxy anew, kind of like Thanos in Avengers Endgame. And that's cool. I like that. Okay, we've given him a motivation. You've given him a purpose. Now I'm on board with Kylo Ren. Now you're good. That's the one good thing this movie did. Uh,
hmm
but of course, Rey doesn't want to join the dark side, and then Kylo's not coming back to the light. They end up destroying Anakin's lightsaber. Just one big fuck you to the original trilogy, or the good Star Wars movies. And
hmm
then from there, and then I think that's about the time the battering ram happened, isn't it?
Huh?
That's about the time we got the hyperspeed battering ram, right?
Yeah, on their side of like the fight, yeah, that's when the
Yeah,
hyperspeed
because it
ram.
like broke, and then she used that to get away, like Finn
hmm
and Rose and BB-8 did. Yeah, so we get that. So like everyone's like evacuating off like the flagship, and Holdo is like gonna, he's going. She like turns the ship around, and it's like, okay, what the fuck is she gonna do? And then she jumps to hyperspace and like shatters more than half the fleet.
hmm Which should have
What?
shattered everything within like 4 light years.
No, it shouldn't have. It should have done anything. Like one, okay, at least Holdo's dead. Two, okay, the scene looked cool, but it makes no sense. With
Mhm.
light speed, you're slipping into like an alternate dimension.
Yeah, it's like
Really?
slip space.
No, exactly. It's like Slip Space from Halo. Like some things that you obviously things still have a physical presence, but only some things. Only things really big. Like Han Solo talks about if you don't map it properly in Episode 4, you can go into a star or something. But
Yeah,
there are hyperspace routes to use, but there's not like lanes or anything. It's just an alternate like dimension that you slip into with a hyperspace drive. But the only thing that casts, it's actually called a shadow, which casts a hyperspace shadow, are
is gravity.
incredibly large entities like planets and stars. So the hyperspace routes are mapped around those. They're not mapped around everything in between. So there's no way a ship could make contact with anything on the normal plane because light hyperspeed is something completely different.
And uh, the thing is, contradictory to what you said that it would what if it was like actually moving in like in the physical dimension at light speed, yeah, everything within like 4 light years should be dead. But the
No,
thing is,
and if it was actually like that, ships would tear each other apart going through hyperspace because there's no way with all the denizens of the galaxy that you don't
mhm.
have ships overlapping in hyperspace going one way or the other because there are lanes, but they're like they're two-way lanes, you know?
And also like if because you have to read into how this happens. The thing is that the Radis jumps and then stops. It stops in front of the what the fuck is it even called?
What the big flagship?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I forget what it's called.
I don't
But
care
it
what it's
stops.
called. This
It's
Star Wars is stupid.
it actually stops right in front of it. But the thing is, apparently the Radis had like prototype shielding that like it wasn't like it was weird because while the ship stopped right in front of the Radis or right in front of the Mega Star Destroyer, the shield didn't. The shield kept on going somehow, and that's what actually caused the like all the tearing was the shield actually continue to travel like across the ships and stuff. The Radis actually just stopped and then just crashed into it at like normal speed pretty much. But the shield somehow kept on going, which doesn't make any sense. How can the shield like
No,
leave
the
the
shield
ship?
field, the energy field's tied to the ship.
Hmm.
You can't like project a shield like that with a ship. Like they use like giant, they use giant encampments on Endor to put a giant shield over the Death Star, but
Yeah,
not like a ship that small.
yeah, and like the shield of the Radis, I guess, kept on going, and that's what caused the tear. Even though that doesn't make any
No,
sense.
where'd you even read that?
It's in one of the books. It's
Okay,
in
it's in
like
one of
the
the
movie
books.
no. It's in the movie novelization.
Oh, okay,
That's like that's how it explains it.
so it's another thing. Yeah, so you have to read a book for it to make sense.
Hmm.
Any time where something major happens like this and you need some kind of exterior context, it's a bad thing in my to my standards. There
Yeah.
shouldn't be a moment where you're thinking, how the fuck did they do that? It's like whenever something happens in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and you're thinking, how the fuck did they do that? They explain it after the fact. They
Hmm.
could like that explanation still doesn't make any sense, but they at least could have dropped something about it.
And
It's
then
like
there's
like
also
like someone could have said, wait, like Poe could have been like, how the hell did she even do that? You can't make contact with stuff in hyperspace, and if you can do that, why not just make? Everyone has said this. Why not just make missiles that do that?
like hyperspace
Boom.
missiles.
End of the end.
Um,
It's end of space warfare.
and then there's also that scene in Rogue One where all the ships are when they're evacuating the planet or they're leaving the planet because the Death Star's arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're all leaving because now the like Imperial fleet has arrived.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of ships jumping into lightspeed, and then there's a couple ships that are jumping into lightspeed as Vader's Star Destroyer jumps in, and they stop. They like jump, but they stop, and they keep on going, and then they crash into the Star Destroyer into
Mm-hmm.
the Star Destroyer, and the Star Destroyer doesn't give a single flying fuck because it's just like, oh, that's a nuisance. Oh well, like there's like nothing like that happens. Nothing in the
Ever.
scale. Yeah, like the ships jump, but they stop like that same instant because there's now something in front of it that's blocking them. There's something with enough like mass to block their
Well,
hyperspace travel.
Well, and it does take an instant to jump into it. It's not
Hmm.
instantaneous because you see like the wind up as the stars start to streak, and then it shifts to the blue.
Yeah.
Because once you get the blue swirl, that's when you're in hyperspace. So everything up to that point is fair game. So it'd be one thing if like it hadn't quite jumped yet, but that's still a lot of speed, and it's really not. You're not even really moving yet. It's like building it up. Because
Mhm.
you don't really see the Falcon move forward. It just or anything. Anytime anything jumps, it's kind of like moving forward, and then it just boom, it's off,
Yeah.
and it just like disappears, like gets terribly small, instantaneously. So I don't know. It's just a little shit. I hate it. And then we get even less screen time for Captain Phasma. She's probably not dead,
But
but
we get more screen time in this movie than in the first one.
I don't know. Do we?
Kind of.
I don't think we do.
Or it might be the same,
Because she
honestly.
shows up for that one scene. She is in that one scene, fights Finn for like less than a couple minutes, and then she's down in an explosion.
Hmm.
So I don't know if she got more or less. I think she got less, honestly, because at least in the Force Awakens, she was like there in the beginning when she talked to Finn. She was there like in a couple parts when the First Order was doing its thing, and then she was there at the end when she got thrown into a trash compactor.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's that. Anyway, so we go from there. Everyone kind of like abandons ship, and at this point they like have their plan to go hide on the salt planet, which totally isn't Hoth. And then
Yeah,
yeah, definitely not.
it's totally not a remake
It's
of Hoth.
different because it's salt and not snow. Snow doesn't turn red. Yeah, and they're on like some like old rebellion base apparently, but of course they like fucking saw where they went, so the First Order shows up to come knock on their door with a giant portable super laser,
Hmm.
and they send out like all these ski speeders to try and slow down the walkers. Huh? Sending out speeders to slow down walkers from getting to a base. Weird. That
Hmm.
how what a weird coincidence that is. Yeah, and there's like a bunch of. I mean, honestly, I don't mind the design of the ski speeders. I think they're actually kind of neat considering like the terrain they're working with.
Hmm.
But I mean, there's no fucking way they're gonna do anything with those things.
Yeah,
It looks like they're gonna fall apart just from like flying them.
just them turning on.
Yeah, they like start the engine and it's like that scene from Empire Strikes Back. Turn it off! Turn it off! When it catches fire. Yeah,
I think some of them actually do like lose control and crash as
I
they're just.
that sounds. I haven't seen this movie since it came out, and I couldn't tell you. I've just seen certain scenes multiple times. Yeah, it's not great. If you like people shitting all over Star Wars, specifically Last Jedi, uh, go look up Robot Head on YouTube. He's done a few videos dissecting what's really wrong with these. He has a great distaste for these films. Uh, no, this one specifically. He breaks it down pretty well. Yeah, so they show up. They're like trying to like leave. They're trying to escape, but they're like stuck. They get stuck in a cave or something.
Hmm.
So now they're like trying to like I don't know put off their deaths a little while longer, I guess. And then they plop the super laser down. They got the walkers coming towards us. They're trying to get in and stop the super laser. And Finn is about to like have an arc kind of because like
Have a redeeming
I
moment.
mean, Finn has more of an arc than Rey does, at least, because he's like he was a stormtrooper, decides he doesn't want to be because being a stormtrooper is bad. It's really basic, but it's at least some semblance of a story arc. And then we have this part where he's ready to like fight. He's ready to throw his life against the very thing that he used to like fight
Hmm.
for like what he knows is the truth. And then he gets slighted at the last possible minute by Rose because you need to have some kind of romantic chemistry between characters even when there is literally none. You get the whole it's not about fighting what we hate but saving what we love, even though that's literally what Finn was about to do, saving what he loved because I was like what he came to care about was the new resistance.
Hmm.
But no, you literally just doomed. Like if Ray hadn't showed up, Rose would have just doomed literally everybody
Yeah.
because the laser goes off. They bust down the door, and then the First Order starts storming into this old base, or oh, they're about to start, and that's when Luke shows up. And what I have to admit is an infinitely awesome scene that is just good no matter what
Yeah.
is when Kylo sees him and just orders everyone to fire and you just see literally like 20 something 20 odd for like what am I looking for walkers AT-ATs
Yeah.
basically it's like open fire there's this giant cloud of red and then
And then
like
like it clears
just
up and he just stands up. He's like
and he just like
swiping his
he swipes
shoulders.
off his shoulder and that was so fucking cool like that seems like something Luke would do
Hmm.
like period that just seems like something he'd do and at this point like Rey's back and she's using her force powers that she somehow can use even better now to move rocks and evacuate what's left of the resistance out of the
Hmm.
base and then so Kylo then like goes down personally because now he just like controls the First Order to fight Luke and although this fight isn't bad. What is bad is the continued mischaracterization of Luke. Like Mark Hamill himself said several times this was not his Luke that he was playing in
Yeah.
this film. He warned us several times that we were not getting Luke from the original trilogy. And we really are not. Because like the whole time he's just like shit talking Kylo Just like, you never amount to anything. You're just like, you're terrible. Like that. No, like Luke would still be trying to turn him back from the dark side. He's like, you wouldn't have given up. He wouldn't like start literally making things worse. That's not what Luke would do. Like, this whole movie is not Star Wars, not what Luke would do. The last thing to do. Oh yeah, I totally forgot how like Yoda came back as a ghost and destroyed like the sacred text of the Jedi with lightning. You know, that's totally not a broken ability at all. Let's give the Force Ghosts, like, the whole point is there to give guidance because they're like being at peace and at one with the Force. Let's give them the power to summon literal lightning.
I do,
you know, that really popular dark side power.
They used puppet Yoda instead of CGI Yoda.
I you know what, I can respect that. I did like that, and of course they had Frank Oz doing the voice.
Yeah, and plus there was a lot of memes of, oh no, the sacred text. There was one of like when you're heating up a microwave dinner, but you throw away the box before and you forget like what it is. It's just like, oh no,
the sacred text. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah, no, I definitely respect that they used Puppet Yoda, but they just like broke kind of like not only kind of the point of the Force Ghosts, but also that's like, why weren't they there when the Empire was a thing and they could just use lightning and struck the Emperor and killed him?
Just appear in front of Palpatine. He's like, bye.
Dead you are. Not if anything to say about it. I have.
just like teleports behind him. Oh my god, Shane did it.
No, hang on. Shindaru, oh my wamu. Yeah.
The Emperor's just like, what the fuck was that? And he just gets struck by lightning.
Yeah. No, it's just him getting struck by lightning and he's just immediately falling down the chasm into the Death Star core. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that is another thing that really irks me. But yeah, so Luke's there, they're fighting, and then like Kylo finally like gets a hit on him, but he's not really there. It's been a force projection this whole time. So how is the lightsaber? How are the lightsabers making contact? I mean, it was like a big like, hang on, what, when he's like using Anakin's lightsaber, not his own. Because it's just like the blue is like, wait a minute, we saw that one get torn in half. How does he have that? But like, and somehow like he physically gives Leia the dice, the stupid dice from the Millennium Falcon that I'm pretty sure never.
They also disappear once he's gone.
Do they? I didn't remember that.
Yeah, they disappear.
Oh, okay. Well, still, I mean, it's nice that we got to see, like, more specifically the actors together, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. Like, that was nice. But yeah, so like, one, how did lightsabers make contact if he used just a projection? How is that a thing? Because that's not an actual lightsaber. And then we get that Luke says something else out of character and then fades away. And by the point, like, they move in, but at this point, like, they've loaded the rest of the Resistance onto the Falcon and they're like escaping. And then we see Luke, and another scene I do kind of appreciate is he's looking at another two suns and he like fades into the Force. Like, that's kind of cool. Like, I'm fine with Luke dying here. That it makes sense to me. I just hope it would be, you know, actual Luke and not this new bastardization we have to deal with now. You know, like the whole force protection thing, like that was totally something Luke would do, but just so much else. This movie just is not original Luke. It's terrible. And then they start. The kicker is they start celebrating. Like, there's maybe 24 of the Resistance left, and they're celebrating.
It's like they might as well be considered an endangered species.
How the hell are you guys gonna have any hope of stopping the First Order now? Like, this is like, you're done. Like, remember the end of Empire Strikes Back, where the worst thing that had happened is Luke lost his hand and Han Solo got frozen in carbonite, taking a job of the Hutt. And that's like, and we find out, you know, that Darth Vader is Luke's father. And then the ending to that is like really solemn. Like, and they lost so much less. And the ending's just like, wow, this is like a low point. that the Empire did indeed strike back. We lost a hand, a friend, and also our worldview.
Yeah, and they're like, oh god, like what do we do
And now
now?
here, like, almost all of their comrades are dead. And a
That's like
majority of their commanders are dead. And it's
that's
like the ending to, it's like, and they're acting like it's the end of Return of the Jedi, where the First Order's dead. It's like, yay, we did it. I was like, all you did was successfully not die, unlike 85% of your crew.
it's like if
95% of your crew.
it's like in Infinity War, like after Thanos snaps and he leaves, like they start celebrating the
Well,
fact that they're
we're
still
not.
alive.
We're the half that's not dead. All right. God, it's
Like,
so dumb. Why? Why is that? Why are they acting like that? It doesn't make any sense.
why are you happy?
And then it ends with like hearing the story, like talking about like there's the kids from the canteen, like the casino place, like talking about like, and so now like Luke's a legend, and the kid like summons a broom with the Force to like sweep, and that was a huge facepalm for me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
What's his metachlorine count?
I know, that's what I want to know. Like, how did he? Why does he have the Force? Like, I get the point of it, but like, this kid's got the Force. Why is he working as a slave?
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a certain knowledge of the Force to use it in any practical way outside of like oneself. So like being able to pull something is meaningful. Because only big in your mind and all that stuff. So yeah, and that's just pretty much how that movie ends. And I cannot believe I liked it the first time I saw it. I cannot believe it. I don't know what was going through my head. I literally cannot figure out what's wrong with me at that point. I don't know. Maybe because I was grasping for literally anything after how disappointed I was with Force Awakens. But, you know, the moment I like started looking into it, I just realized how bad so much of this was.
Yeah, because it wasn't a good movie, and it also wasn't a good Star Wars movie.
No. Not only was it a bad movie, and unlike Force Awakens, which was just a bad Star Wars, this was a horrible Star Wars. They mischaracterized Luke everywhere. They gave Rey nothing in terms of development. She is like not changed. She's still just like she's like, oh, I'm gonna turn Kylo back to like the light side, like doesn't accomplish it, and then she's like just goes back to helping the Resistance when she fails. There's like nothing. She doesn't seem to have any turmoil over failing at all. Which, oh god. And then and Poe's just an annoying character. There's a lot of annoying characters introduced in this that unfortunately only a couple of them die. And then Finn is like denied a character arc. The only good thing that came out of this character-wise is giving Kylo Ren somewhat of an interesting character. But unfortunately, it's built off the bastardization of Luke's character.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you gave a character a passable amount of like character progression, but at like the cost of literally everything else.
Yeah. And it was also more of, let's give Rey more powers, even though she literally hasn't trained at all. Like, I could, like, if it was after this that she started to be able to do Force Mind Trick and stuff like that, I could agree with that, because it's more or less what Luke did. He, like, knew he had the connection, and he was, like, kind of learning how to use it. But here, like, she sits at, like, she, like, meditates. She has, like, the contact with Kylo Ren, and now she's stronger with the Force, even though she is not trained in it. And she's better with the lightsaber, too, even though she, like, was swinging that around like a damn baseball bat on a rock. More powers without any work to get them. They're just there.
She's a Mary Sue.
More or less. She's just such a reactionary means to an end character. Even though, like at the beginning, like, it's like, or the end of Force Awakens, it's like, okay, maybe now she's actually going out to do something now. But she doesn't really end up doing anything. especially because she should Luke shouldn't have even needed to be in this position he's in. Like they did not give a good enough reason that Luke was living in exile. Like he let one failure get to him, a failure that he shouldn't even have had happen to him because of how his character is supposed to be. It's just all kinds of wrong for all kinds of reasons. Like Rey kind of has a bit more of a point here. Like I'm kind of contradicting myself, but how now she wants to turn Kylo to prove that she can, or there's still good in him or whatever. But the problem is that's just exactly what Luke did. But Luke had a real reason to, because it was his own father, and he sensed it was good, and he wanted to bring his father back from the dark side. But Rey doesn't even know Kylo. All she knows is that he is Han Solo's son.
Yeah. Also, if Han couldn't do it, what makes her think that she can?
I know, right? Even less sense is made here. And now we don't even know what she's doing now, because she's I'm gonna go turn Kylo back, and then she doesn't, and she doesn't turn to the dark side. But now what's her point?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just is she? I guess she's gonna keep fighting the Resistance, but is she still trying to turn Kylo back? Is she giving up on that? Show me something different. Okay, she fails. She gives up. That'd be fine with that, because that's not Luke. Luke would not give up, but maybe she does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that her parents were nobodies. I don't give a crap. That doesn't matter to me at all. Some people are disappointed with that. Some people, I don't know, but I don't really care. I don't mind that her parents aren't anybody important.
Yeah.
But I mean, it probably could have helped her character go somewhere. Either way, one way or the other, you'd have something to compare it to. Whichever way she went against or towards the character that her parents might have set, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There apparently was a theory she was Obi-Wan's daughter or something, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, or that she was also a Skywalker, but
I think that would make less sense. How could she be a Skywalker? There's only two places that or another Skywalker child could have come from, and it's pretty clear Mara Jade doesn't exist in this universe.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Also sad that the Solo twins also don't exist.
Yeah, or Anakin Solo.
Mm-hmm.
They're they kind of ripped Jason out of it and just made him his own character, but
yeah. Yeah, Jason Solo is kind of pretty much Ren.
More or less. There's just no Jaina to balance him out. Unless that's the dynamic they're kind of going for with Rey and Kylo, because there's something like that happening in this movie, but it's not done very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, hate this movie. This movie sucks. It's garbage. It's terrible. I mean, if you like it, good for you. I don't see how you do. Honestly, that's true for pretty much anything. When it comes to entertainment and media, hey, if you like something, yeah, good for you. I just happen to hate it. There's no reason people can't coexist with their opinions. Unfortunately, places like Tumblr disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But you, Adam, we don't let you talk ever. What do you think?
I think it was just plain mediocre. It wasn't that, spectacular. It felt like it was kind of poorly done, like you said.
Yeah, well, luckily Disney learned their lesson. They're probably never going to let Rian Johnson near a Star Wars movie ever again. So
yeah, because he just does an awful job at it.
Yeah, so they're planning this really long. They have a long game planned for Star Wars with a bunch more movies and stuff. But we're not even going to talk about Solo, because I never even saw Solo, because after
it's bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I have never seen Solo
it's
either.
horrible.
Dude.
It's actually probably the worst Star Wars movie ever.
I mean, because I'm not talking about Rogue One, because that's just another movie. I didn't want this to go on forever. But especially because I don't have many problems with Rogue One, it's actually not that bad. But
It's good. I like it.
it's not as great that I could laud over it for a long time. You know, I don't have as much connection with it. You know, it was better than Force Awakens. It's loads better than Last Jedi, but you know, it's just kind of there.
Hmm.
But you know, but honestly, and even then, I kind of enjoyed the movie. But the best part was still, you know, the ending when Darth Vader's like just slaughtering fools.
Yeah, just
Cause
like
it
and,
was like a vision of what Star Wars used to be before Disney tried to make it more kid friendly.
and the thing is,
Yeah.
like that scene is made even more horrifying when you realize that door wasn't stuck. He was holding it.
Yeah,
He was holding that door closed while murdering people left, right, and center, and it
yeah,
was awesome.
I know, so cool.
Like when he like throws the dude up into the ceiling and just
Oh,
slices him in
oh
half.
yeah, oh I could watch that scene so much. It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. But yeah, these I mean, Last Jedi is just outright terrible. Force Awakens wasn't great as far as I'm concerned. So Rise of Skywalker has like the lowest expectations I have ever had of any Star Wars property ever. So we'll see if they can manage to still disappoint me at this point. I don't think it's going to disappoint me. I just think if it's bad, I'm just going to be par for the course at this point. But I don't
Hmm.
know. I feel like J.J. Abrams could turn this around. It's like it would have to be one hell of a movie to make me actually like acknowledge the new trilogy, because as of right now, it's never gonna happen. But I don't know.
Yeah.
They're bringing Palpatine back. It could be interesting if they're, you know, it looks like they're revisiting some stuff. I'm just hoping it's not straight up retread, but like checking out like the remains of the Death Star and everything. The second one, at least. I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know what the plot of this is gonna be. I assume it's gonna involve the Knights of Ren coming back, or maybe like learning about who they were. But I don't know. I'm not here to theorize off of one trailer because we got very little in terms of story beats from it. But I don't know. I'm not hopeful. That is the ironic thing, is these movies have lost my hope for Star Wars at this
You lost
point.
hope.
No, yeah, just straight up. I'm never expecting anything good to come out of Star Wars ever again at this point.
Star Wars
Yeah.
Episode 9, No Hope.
At hope's end.
Meh.
Yeah, and honestly, like especially because these movies haven't been good, I feel like it's only gonna get worse as Disney continues to run it in the ground for money.
Hmm.
It's running ground for money.
Yeah, but between the retcons of the overall universe, just the poor quality of these films overall, and not to mention this new fan base that has cropped up, where they consider these movies to be godlike, and any criticism like levied against them is unfounded, and it just puts you under a number of different categories of ists.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're there's something wrong with you if you don't like this movie.
I mean,
Just
there
turns you
is,
away
but
even more.
Yeah.
yeah, like the fandom turns you away, the quality turns you away.
Well,
It's like
yeah,
everything that made the original trilogy and even some of the prequels likable are just not there anymore.
yeah, and it's the thing is like it's not like the fan base, it's the new fan base.
Hmm.
Because I guarantee you, a lot of the people that are saying the Last Jedi is a good movie didn't like give a rat's ass about the old ones.
Yeah, or probably never seen it.
You know, I wouldn't be shocked, because basically there was a split. There was the people like the original fans that didn't like the changes at all with Disney and didn't want to bother with it. There's the fans that didn't mind the changes or thought the movies were okay and they could accept it. And then there's all the new people that just filed in with the new movies and are just
Yeah,
following the new ones. And a lot of them are for the wrong reasons.
but there's still people that are like, I'm a Star Wars fan, and but I don't like the new ones. Like,
Well, yeah, that like I am in like the first category where I love all the old Star Wars shit because I grew up on it, but not
Yeah.
like from a like 30 40 year standpoint. Like just I've always Star Wars has been a huge forever. I mean, Episode 1 came out a year after I was born. And, episode 3 came out when I was still a little kid. So Star Wars was incredibly popular when I was growing up. So it was all over the damn place. And, it was more accessible in terms of merchandising and shit than it ever was before. So, I grew up on through the prequels straight through the original trilogy. And this just isn't any of what I loved about the original Star Wars movies. And I don't like it because of that. Excuse me. It seems like everything's either a retread, or it's a bastardization, or it's just not a good new idea. Like, what little new is here in these movies just isn't executed well, except for maybe Ren's character. It's like the only thing I'd argue, and again, I have problems with that because his motivation is based off of a complete mischaracterization of Luke Skywalker. There's just a lot I hate about these movies. Just like actually hate. These movies have led me down the path to the dark side. Damn it.
The thing is, like, it could have been done so well. It could have been. It could have been amazing. Because
I mean, you are retconning the entirety of the expanded universe, and yet this is what you do with it. Was that freedom? You had complete creative freedom, and you fucked it.
Yeah, even with the retcon, it could have gone so well. Like,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, they had the options to do so much shit because they're retcon, but they didn't.
What's her actor? What's her actor?
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, Daisy Ridley. Like, she's a really good actor.
Yeah, she is not Brie Larson. Like, she's actually a good actress.
Fucking hell, what's or Finn?
John Boyega.
John Boyega. He's also a really good actor.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, it's the Star Wars films and Pacific Rim, not his best showings, but still, like, he's a good actor. I just can't remember their names. Poe.
I couldn't tell you Poe's actor.
He was in another movie. It was a really good movie. It was like Navy SEALs and like robbing a drug dealer or some shit. That movie was really good. Like, they are good actors. If given good material, they can do really fucking good stuff. But they weren't given good material.
I mean, for God's sake, you've got like the original trio. Like, you had all the original actors. You had Harrison Ford, who still did Han Solo well. You had you had Mark Hamill still doing. He's still a good. Like, they're all great actors.
Yeah,
and they all played the parts they were given well. Just the problem is, like, the parts specifically in Luke's case were not written well, or like someone like didn't watch the original trilogy before they wrote Luke's character,
or they didn't understand it.
Yeah, like they didn't understand what makes Luke Luke.
They read the plot on Wikipedia.
He's not one to jump the gun at the first sign of a problem. He's not the kind to murder someone outright because he thinks they could be problematic in the future. He's not the kind to give up entirely after one mistake or one thing going wrong. The dude got his hand cut off and still went back to Vader.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Like, me personally, if someone cut my hand off and then I saw that person later down the line and I had a blade, a melee weapon that can cut through pretty much anything, I would kill them.
Exactly. Luke was going to find redemption for Vader, not revenge for taking his hand or anything else he did.
I would not try to talk them into, being good again. No, I would fucking cut their head off.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I have no moral high ground to stand in. But like,
so for Java, I have the high ground.
Yeah. But like, that's not Luke.
No.
That's just not Luke.
Luke is supposed to be the best of us.
Not your brother, though.
Well, I mean, I'd say Luke's the better brother between the two. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Nah, just messing around.
But like, it just.
Okay. Someone in chat just said, "Yeah, Last Jedi and Solo makes me want to shoot my head." Oh, my thoughts
Yeah,
exactly. Evil chicken nuggets. Don't look at me. That's just his name.
that's an awesome name. That's actually a really fucking nice name.
Yeah,
Um,
not a fan.
yeah, going in low expectations, like you said, with
I mean, I probably won't see it opening night because I don't want to give them the satisfaction of having my money in that opening weekend numbers. Though they're probably still going to be high. We'll see. Actually, we'll see if Last Jedi and Solo kind of screws them over. Well, that's a lot of pain to go through. You really don't like these movies.
you either do not like your penis or you don't like these movies.
Oh Lord, yeah,
One of these things is understandable. The other just means that you don't like movies.
yeah.
Um,
So it's honestly that's kind of all the rant. I'm gonna start repeating myself. I've already been repeating myself, but I'm gonna start looping at this point
hmm
because I pretty much got out everything
Just
that I
got out
really didn't
every-
like about these movies. Detested straight up. We've pretty much gone through at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's much more to say
Yeah.
aside from Rian Johnson. How'd you fuck this up so bad, dude?
Yeah.
You were given the
Seriously.
keys
One
to
job.
Star Wars, and you crashed it into a wall like not 30 seconds after starting the engine. Oh, and thank you for the follow, Evil Chicken Nuggets. I appreciate it. Probably should turn that sound effect down a little bit.
You literally got the the starship that was Star Wars, and just like
Which had
light
already
the
had a
Holdo light
scrape
speed
with a
ramp.
which had already like hit a moon at this point.
Mhm.
And you just like took it straight into the nearest planet and crashed it. At least now
Yeah.
Ray has more scrap on Jakku.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
more places for people to camp on fucking Battlefront 2. Thank you, Ryan Johnson.
Yeah. Battlefront 2 did get another update though. They added droidicas.
Mm-hmm.
I need to jump back
Finally.
into that. I haven't played it since like the last update, and more capital supremacy maps too.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a stream we have to do sometime.
But
Though,
you have to get the game.
well, you'll have to get the game on PS4.
Oh.
OPC.
But I don't have it on PC. I have it on PS4. That's where all my progress is.
I don't have it on. I don't even have a PS4 anymore.
You don't? I thought you still had one sitting around somewhere.
No, that's my brother's.
Oh. Shit.
And I had it for
Yeah.
PC, but then I refunded it.
Oh. Well, now they fixed it with a bunch of new shit, so it's kind of worth it now. Yeah, I don't think there's crossplay on that yet.
Or we can do original Battlefront 2.
Oh, that's also an option. The problem is we can't really play online with that.
Yeah, we can do a game of Galactic Conquest.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like just us. I'm talking like fighting a bunch of people, a bunch of randos. That's not
Well,
really.
the servers are still up.
Well,
Remember they brought back the servers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe. I don't know. We could try it, but you know,
Yeah.
maybe we'll see. I think Battlefront 2 and New has fixed this up pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new one's called Rise of Skywalker, but I'm not sure how
Even though he's
it's
dead.
gonna be. Just arise from your grave.
Alright.
From the looks of it, I think it's gonna go like Dark Empire. I think that's the
Maybe.
premise. It's gonna be like Dark Empire, like Operation Shadow Hand's gonna start.
Could be kind of ironic if Ren wants to kill the past, but then Palpatine's the one that ends up like taking over his body and brings the past back. That could be kind of cool.
Maybe.
Maybe. Oh well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I do not have hopes for anything anymore. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But yeah, we've almost hit 3 hours, so we're 40 minutes short of our usual mark. But I think we've gone on long enough at this point. It's been
No.
yeah, it's been some time, and the alcohol has kind of worked its way through my system. So Yeah.
I'm still sober.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I never
Well,
got drunk. I had a beer, but I don't know
I
if I want
had
to get
5.
drunk on. I feel like if getting drunk on stream is a bad idea. If I ever get drunk and do anything, I'll have to record a video so I can watch it after the fact and maybe edit out something I say before drunk me starts dropping racial slurs or something on stream like
Racial
PewDiePie style.
slur.
I could see
Hey,
myself getting drunk and you baiting me into using racial slurs.
hey, at least if you're gonna do that, at least
Jeez. Meg,
land it with an
Metal
A.
Sonic.
Don't land it with like a hard ER.
Yeah,
Like
that'd be bad.
go in for like a controlled fall. Don't just nose plummet.
Oh,
Either
God.
way, it's gonna be bad. But I mean, at least it won't be PewDiePie bad.
Yeah. Well, anyway, don't think I'm gonna do that anytime soon. But for everyone who did join us for this new Saturday podcast that I still don't have a name for, we'll figure it out eventually. Probably not. I'm just
We
gonna be the
will.
Saturday podcast. Jay Protostars.
Eventually,
It's like Jay Protocar's Saturday night podcast about random shit. But I don't
yeah.
know. Maybe we'll make that
At
an
least it's not
acronym.
Saturday Night Live.
It is Saturday Night Live. We're alive. We're live, and it's Saturday
On
night.
Saturday night. Well, now it's Sunday night, but
Sunday morning.
We laugh. We look.
it's tomorrow.
Woohoo! Yeah, we need to stop now. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. I don't know when the next stream is going to be. You can always follow me on Twitter if you want to know when those are going to happen, because that's pretty much where I discuss it ahead of time. But I mean, we've been doing these podcasts like every Saturday for the last 3 weeks now. So I don't know, it's kind of coming
It's
habit, and
pretty
we
good.
always have something new to talk about. I'm thinking Kingdom Hearts 3 discussion next week though,
Yeah, that
because
one.
that'll
I'm
give
gonna
you a
get
chance to
discuss
talk
that.
more, Adam. I always feel
Yeah.
bad because you almost never talk when we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and hopefully you can get like a better microphone by that point. So
In a week.
Hmm.
well, I mean, he's got a headset that we use whenever we play Destiny, but he's going off his phone, so and it's a USB headset. So I don't know. Whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, now we're doing it for real. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the heck it is, wherever the heck you are, and take care. Good night, everybody.
So, yeah.
Bye.